Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary pals, please give a warm welcome to our guests and friends on today's wonderful episode of Getting Excited About Movies. Today's guests are Stephanie Whitson, Doll Cecil Bruno, Nia, the vixen of fiction, Grayson Wild, and Tom. And of course, your host, Lori. As soon as the buttons work. Yeah. It is such an ADHD day. I'm so glad everybody's here, and also that everybody on the panel is forgiving of my rampant ADHD. Yeah, you are among friends.
I stared at the YouTube like something's wrong.
I know. But like, I feel that in the back of my head all the time, so I can't tell. Well, anyway, here we are. Another Monday, another show, another round of misadventures from the start. From before the start, if I'm honest.
Sweet.
So, here we are. Welcome all the chatters. Welcome everybody in our panel. Real quick, how's the weather?
Hot.
Wet.
So humid here, you just don't even know.
Cloudy and rainy, and
it's already 87 degrees here.
That would be lovely.
We just had a weekend of flash floods and storms and like thunderstorms, and all of a sudden today it's like, ooh, you were wet, and now today you're going to burn. So
Right.
That sounds like Texas.
Yeah, well, we get to do both. We're like wet and hot. It's been like going back and forth between hot and cold, and today it's like you're going to be hot and wet.
Do you
I'm
enjoy
like,
being steamed alive?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I just like to know the weather. It's just me. Let's see. Oh, Naked Firefly is over the weather. It decides whether it wants to be cold or hot. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do introductions. Would anyone like to intro themselves? Suddenly, no one is making eye contact. Everybody has something else very important to do, look at, pay attention to. Okay, so
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll second.
Third.
Hello, everyone. My name's Stephanie. As you can see on my screen here, I have a YouTube channel. I live on Instagram. I live in an RV, and this releases tomorrow. Woo! That is all I have to say.
Yay.
Please continue on to someone else.
Okay. Which one's next? I don't remember.
Me.
Grayson, are you doing? Yeah. Here we go, Grayson.
What to do, everybody? My name is Grayson Wild, and I write with pride. I like diving into fantasies and into warm mugs of coffee. What's good, y'all? I am excited today. I have nothing coming out, but I do have a new updated post on Buy Me a Coffee. You can find that link in my Instagram, which is in my site. And yeah, that's all I have.
Excellent. Would anyone else like to do an intro? They are optional.
Sure. I'm Nia, the Vixen of Fiction here on YouTube. And I'm also on Instagram. You can check me out on Twitch as well. I do live streams on Wednesdays and Fridays, just writing streams so that we, as potential authors or already authors, can get some words in. I write fiction, fantasy, sci-fi, historical fiction, and I am trying to write a comic because I think it's fun. Check me out.
Yay! I am loving your lights, Nia. That little vibe is so cool. I love it.
Thank you. Yes, this is my space.
Nice.
I need the lights. I like it.
Doll, would you like to do a little intro? It's optional.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hello there, humans. I'm Dawson Silverno. I'm a partially blind author of sci-fi, poetry, thrillers, and other genres. I'm also known as the Ace from Space. My YouTube channel is a little bit on standby, but there will be a few streams coming up soon. I'm spending a little bit more time on Instagram lately, so you can check me out over there. And I have a couple of stories out. If you want to check it out, it's on YouTube. And if you just want to reach out and ask me, I can give you links. Yeah, short stories out. I'm currently editing a new short story that should be coming out. I don't know. I don't have a date for it, but soon. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Yay. And then there's Tom.
Tom be like,
Look at this mug.
Tom, the tech producer.
Yay! For all your technical needs and story development and hand holding and blurb writing and I don't know what else.
An amazing story
poems,
development, I should say.
I'd say poems and what was it? Story developing. Maybe someday I'll release, these hopefully eventually infamous handbook for taking care of your pet writer.
Based on personal experiences. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And hi. All right, I guess I have to go with solo because it's only fair. Hi, I'm Glory. You've wandered on my channel, and I'm thrilled to see you here. Or if you're watching on the replay, be sure to let us know in the comments what you think. Feel free to put on a running commentary. We love those. I write stuff, nonfiction and fiction. I have Instagram. I'm on Twitter. And when I say that, I mean really barely. But, you can track me down there. I don't know. I'm blanking. I'm so sorry. That's all I got.
We try our best.
We try. All right. So let's go ahead and do the hellos. Eva is here. Hello. Tom's doing double duty in the chat because I like to say double duty. Phoebe is here, maybe still be here. We haven't, spoilered the shows yet for her. I haven't seen it, so it's not staying. I understand. We will try not to spoil them too hard, but, we're going to do a compare and contrast. Megan is here. Hello, and eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch, because it's a good time. It's a good time. Yes. And Grayson is here doing double duty. Woohoo! Maggie is here. Maggie is still on hold with the doctors. Maybe eventually they will give you a scheduled appointment. Of course, the Naked Firefly is here. It is lovely to see you. Here to support her brother. And Jules is here. Hello, darling.
Hi, Jules.
It is lovely. I think I've gotten everybody. Yay. Soon. Okay. Let's see, a quick summary of the show. We're going to talk about Thor and Loki and Asgard and the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, versus the comic books versus actual Norse mythology / religion. I don't know. We're going to have a grand time. It's going to be random. Please send the snow, Maggie. If you could do that, that would be super great. Aw. She's like, here you go. I'm still on hold.
No, because I was like, oh, it's nice and sunny outside. I walked outside. I was like, oh, that's death. Let me walk right back inside.
Here in the summertime, like July, August, it can get so hot and humid that the catfish will start walking across the road to other ponds.
Oh, wow.
And they can do it because it's so humid, so they don't dry out quickly. It is depressing. I just feel like, is life worth living when I see a catfish or a mud skipper just walking down the road? It knows where it's headed, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing in this world anymore.
Like, I knew it was bad when the kids aren't outside playing, but when it's nice out, the kids are outside. You can hear them laughing. They're on their bikes. I'm like, oh, but no kids are out today. None.
I personally am of the opinion of any temperature above 76, 78 degrees with the humidity that we get here is uncivilized. Because if it's 76 degrees, it means it's also 60% humidity or higher.
Oof.
And it's just uncivilized. It's not right for decent folk. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no.
Also, my hair, and it just holds the heat. Like it's, oh, here we're trying to keep you warm. No, don't do that. Not in the summer. Why can it not straighten out in the summer to let the heat off? Anyway. Yes, Megan's in Phoenix, and Phoenix to me is more humid than a lot of the rest of Arizona. So again,
True.
She has like her own little taste of the humidity suck. It ain't dry enough. Tucson was a pretty dry heat, but Phoenix, it was like, oh, where's all this humidity coming from? It's not right. It's not
so
right.
Let me see. It is. Okay. It's 94. Ew. Okay.
Oh, that is too hot already.
That is inappropriate.
No,
there should be a lot.
That hot, if it's that hot now, what is going to happen in August? No.
Oh no.
I don't want to know. I don't want to be there. I wouldn't survive.
The worst part is I have been in Austin in September for Labor Day weekend and was like, why? Although it was at a convention that was strictly a hotel convention, so we never left except to go eat.
I wouldn't leave either.
And so it was very air conditioned. Like I was like, this is the best air conditioned hotel I've ever been in. Like it had no hot spots. It was nice. It was lovely. It was a good time.
I wouldn't be able to survive in southern United States weather in summer.
Okay, so here's the part though that they don't tell you about why the southern U.S. isn't too bad. Everywhere in the South believes in air conditioning, and not just a little. We're talking like serious air conditioning.
Heavy-duty air conditioning.
Yeah,
the cars all have heavy-duty air conditioning.
Yes.
A lot of cars now come equipped.
You can put extra Freon in your car, then everybody I know has like 3 or 4 backup ACs because we run our ACs so much that they're going to go out. Our central units, we have a central unit for every floor. Like one unit is not enough. Yeah. So one central unit for upstairs, one central unit for downstairs. The garage has an AC, the guest house has an AC, and then we have 2 spare ACs. Like if an AC goes out, my husband will go ballistic. We need AC for him. And he's from Texas. I'm like, how did you survive?
When the AC goes
air conditioning?
How did you live?
When the AC goes out here, it means everyone's ACs are going out. So the AC repair people are like booked for 2 to 6 weeks. When they start going out in July and August. So like it used to be when I lived at this previous house, it was like the house had been put on that particular property in like the 1880s, right? So we only had window units, but we had heavy duty window units that were literally set in walls, not in the window. You know what I'm saying? And every summer I would go ahead and make a preemptive appointment in the middle of July for when the AC, the big one, would inevitably go out. Like, it hadn't gone out yet, but in May, I'm scheduling it for the middle of July. And he would call a week before and go, do you still need this appointment? And, half the time it hadn't gone out. And I'm like, oh, I'm keeping it. You just come and you do maintenance, if nothing else. He's like, okay. And half the time it would still die before the guy showed up. And I would be a couple days without the main unit. Ow. I do not miss that house.
In the apartment we live in now, the first 2 years we were here, it went out every summer. Ooh. Thankfully, they had a friend that was sort of the apartment manager on call. And it was always the capacitor. So it was a quick fix.
Yeah, so Mr. Rex showed Tom how to fix the capacitor.
And then probably the best decision we made.
This is a rental unit that we live in.
Yeah, and although probably the best decision was I got a Honeywell electric thermostat, and it will always, no matter how hot it gets, it'll still give the AC compressor a rest for 5 to 10 minutes after 15 minutes. That's a max out. We have to give the compressor time off so that it won't cool quite as harshly, but the compressor and the AC system doesn't have to get fixed every summer now.
Yeah, it doesn't break like it used to now that we got a better thermostat. Granted, we pay for it out of pocket, but at $30.
Hurts.
At $30, Tom could install it himself. Like we just literally watched the YouTube video on how to do it, and doop doop doop.
But yeah, since it versus those old Mercury thermostats, just keep it on.
That's what this unit had, and it was just blowing out the AC. Well, anyway, so if you've enjoyed our AC chat, may I, just suggest that you click like if you're having a good time. If you're not subscribed, you can click that button. And if you are subscribed, you can make sure that the little bell has been rung so you'll know every time we go live or post anything. And then, I know this is wild. If you look below, you can see everybody's links. Everybody's got links down below to follow them on YouTube, Instagram, good stuff. And, share the love. Also, because these people are fantastic. The reason they are here is because I adore every one of them.
Aww.
Oh, did you not know that?
Thank you so much.
Did you really?
Stop it. You're making me blush.
Look, the truth is this channel is an excuse to hang out with people I like. I just make a reason and try to hope that I've gotten people to come in because I just want to hang out with y'all. That's the truth. Okay,
yeah, we were laughing.
Sure.
We were laughing about I think the last show Glory was on with some other people where she wasn't the host, and she's like, do you want to be on? Would you like to come on my show sometime? Nobody heard this correctly. Every single person's response was, "Yeah, I'd love to have you on my show." And it's like.
I literally said, this is a quote, I would love to have you on my show. And every person responded, oh, yeah, you should totally come on my show. We'll schedule it. And I'm like, and the first time I was like, did I misspeak? No. I'm like, well, these people have great mirror cells, I guess. I don't know.
Versus
so now I'm
before the channel
scheduled to be on other people's shows, which it's cool, but I was just trying to get them to come.
Versus before she had the channel. And she's like, hey, I'd love to be on your show. Crickets.
Yeah. Nobody. Everybody's like, oh, if you want to be on my show, let me know. I'd message people, never hear back. And I'm like, is it because I don't have my own channel? So.
Yeah, it's weird. Mirror cells are weird.
So here we are at a thing I have made up because I just want to hang out with you.
And it's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
That makes sense.
I didn't come for the compliments, but I will stay. Oh, and if you are still having a good time and you are still here, because I'm looking at the numbers, most of y'all are still hanging out, may I suggest you share the show with your friends? Yes, take those compliments, everybody. You're fantastic. And that's why I look forward to you coming every time. Okay, so let us say the nice things before we say any critique, because I know that some people love Thor, some people don't. It's fine. But let's just do a round of the things we definitely like about these Thor movies. Anybody? Would anyone like to start, or should I start?
So I haven't watched all of them.
I have not watched anything, so people are like, Dal, what the crap are you doing
Yeah,
here?
you have a life, though. It's very obvious you have a life, unlike some of us. I'm talking about me.
Yeah. No, but I like the fact that the mainstream media are like the fact that they are preserving Norse mythology, like it's still popular, it's still talked about. I like that, even though I have not watched it. So I can say that I just like the idea that Norse mythology is talked about in popular media.
Same.
That is very nice. Yes. Because I hadn't really heard anything about Norse mythology since Tom got into mythology in middle school. And then, I didn't hear anything other than, I guess in junior college, I heard from some on campus, how do I say borderline white supremacists? Let me say borderline. How you're like, is it just they're being influenced or do they actually believe this crap? I would hear sometimes about, a little bit of Norse mythology from them, but I didn't really hear much in the more mainstream. And now I hear more about the fun things. I only learned a few years ago about Loki seeing a lovely horse, a stallion, I gather, and was like, hey, you're pretty. I'm going to become a horse too, a lady horse. And I'm going to maybe, make a horse baby with you with 8 legs. It had Loki's son had 8 legs. What does it say? The word, Tom?
Sleipnir.
Sleipnir.
Well, Sleipnir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
Sleipnir.
I'm like, that is the coolest thing. Like Loki's like, that's a fine stallion. I'm gonna be a mare now. And I'm like, ooh. Pushing the envelope. I like it. And that I only found that out like what? I think I saw somebody's infographic and I asked Tom about it since, of course, Tom went through a deep dive, autism, in middle school about mythology. And I was like, is this true? Like, yeah. So
I was today when I found that out, just now. Thank you.
Well, I mean,
This wasn't the only time. Loki
is truly a trans figure because Loki's like species. I'm not stopping.
Loki is truly omnisexual. Like just
Omnisexual is the best
it's really pretty.
Loki is the ultimate pan. I'm just saying. Anyway.
I mean, he is. They don't really highlight this, which shocks me. And like in the comics, he's gender fluid. He is Lady Loki a lot.
Gender fluid, species fluid. I love it.
Exactly. All the time.
Loki has no boundaries. If
None.
Loki likes you, think you're pretty, they're gonna go for it.
That's so cool. And I love that sort of like really playing with the ideas of boundaries and going, but love conquers all, and makes
Fenrir is also
big old monsters.
Loki's kid.
What?
Yeah.
And Fenrir is also.
Yeah, Fenrir is as well one of Loki's kids, and I love that.
And the snake that will swallow, the world snake. That's also Loki's child.
I love that there's no boundaries here, especially when it, comes to, oh, are you pretty? Well, Loki is there,
Yes.
Loki doesn't care about gender. Loki doesn't care about species. Loki will join you in your world.
He has so many layers that the movie could have touched on. They refused to.
And that was like one of my frustrations with the MCU. But again, we're doing the compliments right now. We're going to get through this.
Yeah.
Has everybody said the nice thing? I mean, I will say, like, I love everybody's hair in all the movies.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. Like, that's some...
The glorious hair.
I'm going to echo the comment that I like the guy who plays Thor. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
I love that they went with an Australian Thor. Like, I wasn't thinking I would like Thor with an Australian accent.
I'm not changing my accent.
But you know what? The Australian accent works.
It does kind of, doesn't it? It's like a brawny... I don't know. Maybe it's perpetuating stereotypes. But it's still fun. Chaotic evil or chaotic neutral? I'd say neutral, personally.
I mean, Loki is truly neutral. Like,
I feel like the best trickster gods are chaotic neutral rather than chaotic evil or chaotic good.
I find Loki chaotic neutral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's funny is they highlight Loki as a trickster as if Odin isn't a trickster himself.
Mm-hmm.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Are those gods tricksters? I mean, to a little degree.
Dude,
I mean, look at Zeus. How many different animals did Zeus become? Just to be like, hello, pretty lady.
Hello, pretty swan. What you doing? Okay. So
many a times I've been called daughter of Odin, of course, because I don't share my real name and I have like a different name for different projects. And it's like, you're a daughter of Odin, no question. I'm like,
Yep. Yes, exactly.
And it's also a part of being a trickster.
Mm-hmm. I love trickster gods. Y'all know I love trickster gods so much. I love the Monkey King. Monkey King is one of my favorite Asian gods, to the point when Tom found at one of the local Chinese food restaurants, there was the counter person was making these. So, like, she was just hand sculpting these little pens.
Wow.
He picked one up for me because he knows how much I don't care what it looks like. I love everything of the Monkey King.
That's awesome.
And like the cape glitters. Yes.
Oh, nice.
It's embedded in, so it doesn't come out. So you know, even glitter haters, don't worry, it doesn't come out. I checked. But yeah, I adore all the trickster gods. Yes, I even I know Tokoloshi is a little bit of a controversial trickster god, or trickster spirit, but even Tokoloshi in African mythology, I'm like, sometimes it's appropriate. So yeah. But anyhow, okay, so.
And also at the end of the show, after we finish with all the main stuff, we'll tell some personal history about us and Loki.
Okay, yes, that's fair.
But we'll wait till after we finish the rest of it.
Here for it.
Should we be scared?
No, I'm here for it.
So,
But I mean,
we have touched on a little bit of the problematic stuff, but after the compliments, any other problematic issues people would like to bring up? Let's air the problematic. I know. Who wants to get started? Because let's acknowledge the problematic stuff. There is some stuff.
Like with Ragnarok specifically, or you know what?
Any of the above. Anything you just
want
to get off your chest. This is the time.
It's just Odin is a god.
Right.
Does he not understand that if you adopt a child and then you treat the child differently, and then the child doesn't know that they're not going to feel that something is not right.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't love all your children equally. Yes, you're going to jive with one child more than another. That's perfectly normal. Sometimes you have just more complementary personalities.
Yes.
But oh my goodness, that Loki was having these feelings that something is just wrong with me. It's like, parents, let's try to do better.
Yes.
Although we actually end up seeing, because of Ragnarok, where Hela shows up, that if, one of my rants.
Tom's been ranting all week, y'all.
Yes.
Of Loki, I'm justified ranting.
Of Loki is, the problems we have and the problems Loki causes can definitely be put, because of Ragnarok, on Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see Hela, who is just a more extreme version of Loki.
Mm-hmm. He didn't learn.
He did not learn.
No.
I mean, how many children
was horrible.
Really, you put Loki and Hela side by side, and Hela is just Loki on steroids.
Oh yeah.
Put to the power of themselves, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the first thing Hela does when she shows up anywhere? Kneel to me. The exact same thing
and
Loki
we see
does.
Loki doing that before in the Avengers movie, right? Wasn't that the first one where Loki shows up and is like, kneel, and
Can you imagine if it had been Hela and Loki instead of Thor and Loki?
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Wow. Ragnarok would have started way sooner. I am just saying.
Actually, let's talk about the fact that if Loki had actually went all out and wasn't holding back, because I swear he was holding back, he would have been taking care of Earth with ease.
Yes. And I mean, I think, to some degree, Loki was doing that as almost I don't know how to say it, but sibling flirting with Thor of I'm messing with your people. Haha, you like the Earth people. You watch me. I can poke them all I want. Just really to get a rise out of Thor, get Thor involved again.
Exactly. Because he even openly said, I never wanted the throne. I wanted to be seen as your equal. Because Odin specifically said to both of them, you're both born to be kings. And instead of saying, hey, you were born to be a different king, he just let him believe that hey, you had a chance. Actually, no, you didn't have a chance. Why not just be honest from the get-go?
Yeah.
And so it said, everything, all the troubles I see in the end, I end up blaming on Odin. Odin is very much this is what happens when you have a narcissist running things as the actual leader. Same thing we see with CEOs. We see the exact same behavior as we see with Odin and Asgard.
Is the biggest problem of Odin.
Mm-hmm.
And down to the point of Ragnarok, where Odin has known this problem of Hela all, for thousands of years.
Yeah, because Thor and Loki don't even know about Hela.
Has in no way made anyone else aware of, or let alone made up a, strategy to deal with Hela once he dies. Or hell, if Odin realizes he's getting really sick, we take Odin out of Asgard.
Exactly.
Because of how Hela will manifest. Does any of this? No. As a true narcissist, Odin hides all of this. Versus all three movies.
And no backup plan for everybody when he's gone.
Because that's other people's problem.
Right. That's not going to be his problem. He's already going to be gone. What are you
that depiction of Odin is kind of... it's not very far from the actual scriptures of Odin, or the scriptures that we have, because the texts that we have of the old Norse mythology are mostly rescue material from the era where Iceland and Norway were already starting to be Christianized.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what else was there with the true pagan ages? We don't know. But yeah, Odin in mythology in the scripts that we have, my perception is that Odin wants to know everything. Odin is always after wisdom, knowledge. He wants all the knowledge, all the wisdom. He wants to be the superior. Like the narcissistic part, I don't see it so much. I see like he's too hungry for knowledge for his own good.
Yeah, in the older scriptures, he is more just he's selfish. He's very thirsty for knowledge, and he will do whatever it takes to get it. He's very driven. But yeah, you don't see quite the narcissism that you end up seeing in the Marvel Universe's version.
No, this is completely this is a completely different depiction, and I think it comes from what you just said, Tom, about like what we see in our world with the leaders and CEOs and that kind of stuff. So I think it's inspired by the reality that we are seeing right now.
Like the first movie, I turned to Glory and I said to her, this is the god of wisdom. Odin is supposed to be the god of wisdom, as much as like we're not actually gods. He is supposed to be, the wisest one, and not one. Both of his sons specifically do not trust his wisdom.
Which says a lot.
Yeah, and they were clearly had reasons. You see that when he makes a mistake with the daughter. Yeah, when he makes a mistake with the daughter, he casts her away, pretends she doesn't exist, and doesn't tell anybody that and nothing about her. So that's how he solves his problem. Just get rid of it.
My issue is they watered him down so much and tried to make him seem like a good dad and a good king. I'm like, no, because in the comics he was way worse. He was way worse in the comics, and also in the comics, Thor and Loki had way more depth. They had way more layers, and they watered it down so bad for the movies. I'm like, why did you go this route?
Well, that actually brings us up to the first movie, and for us, what we see is the heart of the problem with that first movie, which is that movie, the script had been around for 20 years, 30 years, really. No, 20 years at that point, because it came out in 2010 or 2011. And it had been rewritten so many times.
Sam Raimi had originally tried to pitch this back in like the early 90s. Like I want to say 91, but don't quote me. Sam Raimi had been pitching this way earlier, and the scripts just kept getting doctored as they moved between, studio to studio, but they never really started entirely anew.
And
wow, you can tell. By the way, yes, I do love the American Gods depiction of Odin much better than the Marvel one. And that has nothing to do with the fact that I actually used to have an employer / in-law who really reminded me of Odin from American Gods. And I even got him to read the book, and he loved it. Trolling your former in-laws.
But and I loved American Gods and the Odin Loki
dynamic
of like that is definitely truer to those to the pantheon descriptions of them. And I love the way they did it versus this one, it was much more watered down. But about the first movie, apparently I ended up giving Gloria a good idea for how to, and a good analogy, I guess, for when you edit stories. Whenever I hear someone talk about they're having a real hard time editing their story, it's really stressing them. And I was talking about sheep shearing. And that it is hard to shear a sheep if you don't know the exact shape of a sheep. You need to know it has 4 legs, not 5. How big, and for sheep species, I forget what you call them, you need to know what is their tail like when you're shearing them, and what kind of ears do they have, or else you're going to have this really lopsided, sheep.
Yeah. So some sheep, the way their breed is their back is kind of flat, like a little helipad that you can land on. And other sheep, their back is actually very steepled. And so shearers need to know ahead of time, well, especially back when they used to use clippers, what kind of shape of the sheep they're looking for, so they don't accidentally nick, because you run the risk of infection. In fact, you run a high risk of infection if you nick the skin. As well as the sheep will not want to ever get sheared again. This is a problem. Trust is an issue. And so, like, the best sheep shearers are the ones that make sheep feel very safe, comfortable, and also are quick. But like, the shearers can work with a bunch of different kinds of species of sheep, but they need to know what they're working with. So some tails, there's like no tail, and other tails are incredibly long and thin, and you need to know what you're dealing with, or you are going to, again, you run the risk of nicking and so on, as well as you don't want to get a bad fleece where it's kind of broken up, or you don't have enough of the good parts of the wool and too much of the bad parts, the dirty, short-haired parts. So knowing what kind of sheep you're working with before you ever get started matters. And it occurred to me, like Tom's analogy about editing is very similar. When we start editing in our family, when we start editing something, we have an idea of the shape it's going to be before we ever get started. We know approximately what the middle, the end, the beginning, and the middle need to look like, the shape of it, if you will, just like a sheep. It's going to have 4 legs. If you end up with a sheep with 5 legs, you have sheared this sheep wrong. Straight up. But it is possible, because I've seen sheep where they weren't sure how long the tail was, so they just left. Like,
also, some sheep have chubby tails, and they're short and squat, but they're very chubby, and it's like, what's going on the backside of the sheep?
This is not good, because again,
the shearer wasn't sure.
Breeding eggs in that tail if you don't shear it right, because you don't want it to leave too much wool there. Or over the summertime, the flies will lay eggs, and it definitely will make the sheep sick. Plus, you'll have a real fly problem in your paddock. So I know way too much about sheep shearing, don't ask. And but like, editing is very similar. You need to have an idea of the shape of your story before you ever get started in editing and revisions, or you're going to end up with a 5-legged sheep. I'm just throwing that out there.
Like, one of the easy, useful things is to go find a beat sheet for your genre of story, which will tell you roughly how long each section of a story is in this genre.
Like in percentage.
And like, what's the stuff that happens here in this section versus another section of, working with your audience expectations versus otherwise it helps if you read a lot of those kind of stories. You get a sense for how to keep that action and the story movement flowing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
But yeah, like, the first movie is so muddy.
I was like, what is happening in this movie? We've got a little bit of everything and a lot of nothing.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like they just wanted to introduce a bunch of different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like
what
as many characters as they could in one movie. That's what it seemed like.
I feel like the first movie is a testament to, number one, you don't necessarily need to have a strong story to have a successful story. And number two, it's all about marketing and promotion.
Yeah.
But also, like, that particular genre of, action, adventure, fantasy, definitely has a different standards for a success, like, for readers, listeners, viewers, to feel like this was a successful story. And so if you know that, it's like, just go whole hog. Have a great time and not worry about all these little minute details, because that genre's kind of readers or audience, they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care that the hero, or who's supposed to be the hero, is actually the one that causes the problem that now he's got to fix. And it's to make him go through this growth. Because he comes out, he's in the first one, he starts out, he's just arrogant. He thinks, I got this. He sees something he doesn't like. He's like, I'm going to go handle it, my way with me and my gang. Causes a whole lot of problems. Just goes into this poor little unassuming town. They didn't ask for this. Town is now tore up.
It's like, R.I.P.
But he's grown. He's grown now. and he's willing to sacrifice himself to save what's left of the town and the people and Earth and whatnot. And we live for this. Yay! But it's a trope. If you like the superhero introduction thing, you're going to be like, this is fine.
One of the things, though, I took away from that, and the second movie really helped kind of prove what's not just a coincidence, is how much the first movie is a lot of Loki is a pantser, but Loki is afraid of Thor becoming king, of like just destroying Asgard as Thor was at the time. And so Loki was simply just trying to get Thor, temporarily demoted back to not being king. And then he just kind of had to pants and run with the situation to, keep things going. Because you see at the end, at least I like to think, the end scene where what's it called? I think the Destroyer, the Iron Man suit from the Asgardians. Like, Loki at the end, you see, cannot actually kill Thor as a human. You see him, purposely go, no, I can't do this. And he just backhands Thor. I don't think Loki... punches. Yeah, I don't think Loki even realized how much... how weak humans are, and that even that backhand could be deadly to Thor. I think he was just thinking of another Asgardian, and that kind of backhand would not do anything.
Yeah.
Like he saw in Ragnarok, where they played, get help, and Thor just throws Loki at 3 people, and Loki just stands up, unharmed, unfazed.
Memories.
So I don't think Loki was trying to kill him with a backhand.
Yeah. And we see in Ragnarok, Hulk literally flopping him. Beating him into the ground. And he's okay. But Thor, Loki didn't want to kill Thor and take over. Loki just was afraid of Thor the way he was becoming king.
Much like Odin at that point. We see there's even a scene in the first movie where they really do echo each other, Thor and Odin, and I'm like, whoa. No. Odin talks a good talk, he does not walk it.
No.
And then there is Thor when, the rubber hits the road, he just barks the same crap as his father. And I can see where Loki's reticence, because obviously neither Odin nor Thor are listening to Loki's concerns.
Yeah.
So he's
Loki's probably another several thousand of years of this? No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
And you also see in that first movie that Loki is still, though, trying to get approval from his dad. You see at the end there where he's like, I'm just going to destroy all of the frost giants. And we even see Loki allow, or was that the second one where Loki allows, the first one, Loki allows a couple frost giants, including the leader, to come to try to kill Odin, and we see Loki was always planning to backstab the frost giants, and just to kill the frost giant leader in front of his dad, because again, he just wants that approval, even knowing he is a frost giant and not actually Odin's son. And again, this also brings up what is with the Western world and a lot of the world, and this whole adopted kids don't count as your kids.
And adopted parents don't count as real parent. This is so crazy.
This is some eugenics going on here.
Yeah. Once you adopt a kid, that's it. That's your kid.
I am adopted. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
No, that second movie missed a great moment for when Odin says, I picked you up, your birthright was to die on that rock. And Loki's real response should have been, my birthright was to become king when you picked me up off that rock and made me part of your family. My birthright was
I was so mad that that's not what Loki said. Because, okay, y'all, look. I don't know what you know about our family. But to say that both of our parents registered quite high on the narcissistic traits is an understatement. But I'm going to tell you, as a child of 2 people who had quite a few narcissistic qualities, it feels so good when you counter a narcissistic parent with the truth back in their face. It's like if you as if you had the applause of an entire stadium of, yes, I have achieved my own agency here. I have I've stood in the face and went, no, this is the reality, and you have failed, or you have misunderstood this, and I am right. And they don't have anything to come back on that. Oh, and like, instead of giving that to Loki, he just takes it. Now, I realize in reality, Loki had only recently found out he was adopted, so he definitely hadn't worked through like emotional processing of how he feels about this, which of course, you know, oh, is this a Marvel character? Oh, they have not emotionally processed anything. It doesn't matter if they've had weeks, months, years, they still haven't processed Jack.
Nope.
But it would have been so nice to have like essentially a real conversation or yelling match with with these, you know, a parent and a child, when that child essentially is an adult already, and it's like, it is time for you to speak up for yourself because this parent is not advocating for you. It feels so good, and I'm so sad that they didn't give Loki that, because Loki definitely at that point deserved it as a character.
Especially,
but doesn't Odin still see them as children, kind of though? I think when he goes to rescue him from, I think this was the first or second one.
Yeah,
he's like, and the guy's like, he's just a boy, and he goes, yes. Odin's like, yeah, he's just a boy, so let's squash this right now.
Well, you know, like I think Thor and Loki, like here where they're making Loki and Thor the same age, they're about both 1,500 years old. I think Odin is about 5,000 years old. You could kind of equate that to approximately human years, you know, and say that would make approximately like maybe that would put Thor around mid-20s, Thor and Loki in their mid-20s, not boys. Just a parent, you know, like, you know, even my mother used to say, you will always be my baby. You're just going to have to deal with, I'm always going to talk to you as if you are a kid. And I'm like, because I mean, yeah, she was like say things and I'm like, you do realize that I'm in my 20s. I pay my own bills. I bought my own house. You do understand this, right? You know this at some level. She's like, yeah, but you'll always be my baby. And that's how, you know, I know all parents are. That's fine. But in reality, it can be misleading to the audience of like,
yeah. I guess I kind of always put it around like the time when the first one, when Thor is first coming in, that it's the equivalent to being like 18, like that coming of age, you know, type age.
Very young. Yeah. Gosh, you know, like
the football. He acts like a football hero, kind of. Hey, everybody admire me. That's why I kind of felt
like
that kind of
spanking. Is I'm just gonna say it. Thor acts like he needs a big old spanking. They put over Daddy's lap, and Mama gets a turn at that little behind. Because if you gonna act like a child, you're gonna be treated like a child.
Yeah, you've got his mom over in the corner being like, "Don't stop, calm down."
Ooh, I just
do that.
Not believe when Thor just got so mouthy, and I'm like.
It's just because he's so used to having nothing but praise that I don't think he'll register anything else, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
He is. All he's used to is praise. And then when it came to Loki and Odin talking, Loki did pose a good question, like, what was my purpose for you? What was the purpose of you taking me other than for me to be another relic?
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain point there about, like, did Odin really take Loki as a trophy?
And that's what,
you know, as a war trophy.
And Odin's little baby.
That's stuff that's right up there with genocide. That is something that when countries take, or when warring parties take other villages, people, children, to raises their own and not tell those children their history, that is part of genocide. Where you erase an entire culture, that is genocide, y'all. So even doing it on an individual level is still part of that.
And he flips with it. He flips it, and it's almost like gaslighting. Because in the first movie, he said, "All I saw was a baby that was going to die, and I took you in because I wanted to love you." And then again, he brings it up, saying, "Your birthright was to die."
Again, this is the behavior of narcissistic parents. That is very common.
It's either, what was it? The windows are they all the way up?
The windows all the way up, or the windows all the way down, but the window is never in the middle. Think about car windows. This is like actually how our mother described our father, though they will happily tell on each other. But yeah, that like with your father, the window was either all the way up or the window was all the way down in the car, but the window was never in the middle. And that is sort of narcissistic parenting of you're either the favorite child or you're, you know, the child who's out of favor. You're the one who's always in trouble. It's always your fault even when you weren't there. Because if you had been there, you could have stopped the other siblings and so on and all this BS.
Yeah, none of that makes sense. I'm like, and even with all of that, Loki was still loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still.
Which you do get with not only children, adoptive children, but also children of narcissists, where they're still trying to win that favor and that validation before they finally set out on their own emotionally, because it is so scary to set out emotionally and no longer crave that parent's validation. You get a lot of that. You see a lot of it, and even in adult children, you're going to see a lot of it. So it's very on brand for how people's real life experiences are.
Hey, should we take a quick little bio break?
Okay. Let's take a little bio break, and I'll see y'all back in 10 minutes.
All right.
Hello. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah. All right, y'all. Tom's still making popcorn. How did everybody else do?
Ooh, popcorn sounds delicious.
Oh yeah, it is. It's really good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Years ago, I bought Tom one of those silicone microwave popcorn popper things, and he has figured out a way to pop the popcorn in butter so that the butter browns while the kernels are popping. It is decadent. I'm just saying. It's straight up decadent.
See, I need to go and get my popcorn maker. I actually have a popcorn maker because I used to work at the theater from the age of 15 all the way to 23. So I was able to get one of their old popcorn makers. I left that at my mom's when I moved. I need to go back and get it.
Yes, go get that.
Yes,
Go get it.
To get that. Yes. So that sounds like a fantastic idea. I want to see all the pictures once you get it.
Please post.
Yes, this needs to be a priority now.
Yeah, I want to live vicariously through this fantasy.
Believe me, it's delicious, but the cleanup sucks.
Yes. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. That, and I was fixing banners like with everybody's connection. Their social media contact stuff.
Mm.
Hi. Oh yes, the popcorn's now ready. Hello and welcome.
Nice.
It smells like movie theater popcorn. Like it has like this toastiness that the movie theater popcorn has that a lot of other microwave popcorn doesn't.
Has no popcorn here.
Popcorn party at Dory's.
Stephanie's having connection problems, so we'll just keep playing this game till the internet, forgives her for apparently some sort of transgression. I don't know. How did everybody else do, or what did you do? Did you get up, move around? I don't know, things.
I just got something to drink. Oh, I got something to drink.
Good. Excellent.
I am sketching a cover for my next short story, and I was downloading specific rune fonts. So perfect for the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm downloading runes.
How very deliciously topical of you.
Yeah, and it's a horror story where one of my characters uses runes for the spiritual practices. So it's in there somewhere.
Very cool.
And coincidentally, one of the runes that I mention in that story is the Thurisas rune, which is Thor's rune. So it's a coincidence that I started doing that, but I guess I got inspired from the whole conversation. I
very cool.
It is very cool.
Very
I need
cool.
to be studying my runes, but I got lazy.
If you ever need help, seriously, if anybody ever needs help with the runes, I started working and studying on February, and I have moved so easily with this knowledge. It's like, it just, like, for example, when sigil making and that stuff, I don't understand sigils. I can't see them. And I had a feeling for many years that maybe the runes would be the same because, it's like another symbolism and I would not see it and I would confuse them. Nope. I started and it was like a new alphabet that I just got like this. I can read. Wow. I can read runic stuff. Like, wow. I can read this. Now, I can read Elder Futhark. I cannot read like the newer ones because I have not been to those. I am sticking with the oldie one.
Yeah, those are the only ones I study. I don't study the newer ones.
Well,
Stephanie,
I was thinking for a fun.
Stephanie, what did you do in the break other than fight with gremlins?
That is what I did. I fought with gremlins. I haven't been on the freaking stream that long, and my phone battery was like blinking at me saying, "I'm too hot. I'm going to explode in your face and eat you," or something. I don't know. Okay, I made that second part up. But it was like, it wasn't charging anymore, and then it was blinking, and then I realized it was warm. But I'm like, it doesn't. I can watch like hours of crappy like Netflix and Hulu on there for hours and hours and hours, and it doesn't ever heat up. But when I'm on the stream with Hot Glory, whatever, that's my nickname for you because it only gets hot when I'm on the stream with you.
I guess. Thank you for the compliment.
It's like, how dare you get on StreamYard? Not today.
My hotness is overpowering. I apologize.
I haven't I gotta remember. I know the last time I was on a stream was like, I don't know, like August, I think, or maybe it was longer. No, I was on a stream during the Worldwide Write-a-thon that I was almost late to because I fell asleep, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's the one I missed.
Yes. Yes. Like I was awake, it was going good, and then it was like springtime, where the time changed that weekend, and so
it was a time change.
March. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like sit here on the bed with my warm sleeping husband, and then I woke up with like 15 minutes to spare. It was not worth it. It was very. But I
felt bad for keeping you guys at my chat party so long.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed the. I enjoyed the chat party.
Oh, well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Are you guys gonna try doing it again?
I did request to be a host, so we'll see. You know, there's always more people who request to be a host than available slots. So.
Yeah, I requested it, but like I requested it the first 12 hours of the weekend. Because Friday we're still on the June 1st, we're going to a local RV park for the first 4 days of our grand adventure. But then on Saturday, June 5th is when we're leaving at noon. So as I was like, all right, I can do it that night. It'll be fine. Or not, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll find a way to make it work, right?
I'm excited to travel because then I can, on the other channel, I will be showcasing all of my lovely stuff that I see or don't see. The last time when we had troubles and we ended up getting stranded in the Colorado mountains for 12 days, 12 lovely, beautiful days, I decided I'm done. I'm not videotaping anything anymore, but if more disasters chance upon ourselves like they do every time we take the car outside of our zip code, then you guys will all see the tears or the laughter. Well, whatever,
I am looking forward to like seeing your adventures.
Really fun. Yeah. You're gonna definitely see the real life, no filter aspect of traveling with a family of 5 in an RV across state lines.
I am definitely curious actually about like running an RV, particularly when I know, like with fatigue and other mobility issues, like I am very curious because I've always had a fantasy of having an RV and traveling, but it's always been a tempered fantasy because it's like, oh, but can I really manage? I don't know. Because like the only people I've ever heard talk about living in an RV, at least for months at a time for vacationing or whatever, definitely seem to be more able-bodied than me. So that's what I've always been concerned about.
Well, I think following our adventures will be very surprising to you of how well we can do things because I have extreme fatigue, I have insomnia, I have multiple sclerosis. So there's all that playing in that. And then I don't drive because I can't see well enough out of my right peripheral. So my husband does all the driving. But he also doesn't have any legs from below the knee down because he's a double below the knee amputee, and he's been that way for almost 11 years. He was that way when I met him. I didn't know him prior to him having legs. So, I mean, like being that, and then the fact that his mom passed away from complications from MS, like he kind of can understand and, I mean, I didn't lose my legs, but I mean, we both have our good days and bad days. And so I think that helps that one person isn't doing all the heavy lifting, so to speak. Oh my gosh, when we got I think it was our second or third flat tire on our first road trip, and the first flat tire, I'd never had any, I'd never changed a flat tire ever. So, but by the third one, I was like, all right, we're good. Let's just bang this out, get this done. But like, whenever my husband was outside with pants on, no one asked for help. And if he needed help, if he was outside with shorts on, people would see his fake legs. Then they asked him for help. And then also when they saw me, like, I'm going to be horrible with tire names, but like the hubcap with the little, lug nuts, that like taking them off and on. People are like, oh, do you need any help? Like, he's standing right there. I needed help. Do you think you could help me? So it's very interesting to see the dynamic of like, okay, if he looks able-bodied, he's not going to have no one's going to ask for help. But if people are seeing him in shorts, I mean, it was the middle of summer in Texas. Of course, you're going to have shorts on. People would ask him for help. Ask him if he needed help. What was that?
I said, of course he'd have shorts on. You run the risk of heat stroke otherwise. You got to get that body heat out of the body.
Right. Yeah. So.
Breeze up
and my son said that he didn't want to go traveling because I yell at my husband all the time. I'm like, well, that's because Dad tells me to yell at him. He's like, no, that's not true. So there's this clip on my other Instagram channel of, yeah, you need to yell at me because I can't hear you. I can't see, because when I'm staying behind him and telling him to like go this way or like stop or come this way, he doesn't like see it really well. So like, but now we have earpieces we can put in our ear. I can yell at him through the earpiece from outside.
See, there you go.
I have it on film. I can yell at you to like stop, go left, go right, get out of the car. I mean, we've gotten down to like, we haven't towed this second RV, but the first one we got it down where I could get him backed up and like hooked up to the bumper pull one, because it's one that we tow behind. 3-4 tries. Which is pretty good considering that I don't drive and he can't hear us crap.
I mean, I would really love to watch this sitcom because I feel like
you mean the continued adventures?
Yes.
From who were they? Someone Richard Pryor.
Oh, Hear No Evil, See No Evil with Gene Wilder.
Yeah, Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. I mean, this just sounds like the continued adventures.
It is. It's definitely comical. Like, so when we traveled last time, we went like through California, Nevada, like very barely California, Nevada, Arizona, drove to New Mexico one day, where we learned, somebody in the family learned, don't take water from the water tap and drink it to test it out in the dark.
Oh. Yeah,
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this show and all of the excerpts and updates. It seems like it's going to be awesome. I cannot wait.
Last time we just like camped out like in BLM land or like free camping areas, things like that. This time we're actually going to go have a mix between that and actual hookups at RV Park. So it might be a little better. All right.
Oh, that does remind me of a new fact I learned recently.
What's that?
About why is bathtub gin called that. And it's not because you mix it up in the bathtub.
Okay, I'm ready. Listen, tell me about it.
It's because of the plumbing and everything. You were mixing up a big batch in a pot, but you'd fill it up from the bathtub faucet because that was where there was enough space below the faucet to put
fit the pot.
Yeah. And that's why it was called bathtub gin. It was just bath gin. Though they didn't call it that back then, they called it synthetic gin. But it,
So
the actual
gin from spring water or something.
It was called synthetic because they were just taking straight Everclear and mixing it with
juniper berries.
Watkins.
Oh, they were using it with flavoring instead of the actual berries, like you're supposed to.
Yeah, and so they're literally just mixing up a batch of alcohol, water.
So it's just flavoring. It's just Everclear with flavoring watered down?
Yep. And that's why it was synthetic gin.
Okay, things make so much more sense now. I have often wondered, how do you brew that kind of fermentation in a bathtub? Because it seems like you would want it more enclosed. Anyway, so I have always wondered, as somebody who used to make wine, I used to make homemade wine. And we would keep it in the bathtub. That was just more like if it exploded, so, you know, it's easier to hose down.
Which you did?
It did. Okay.
Once.
I'm not the one who added extra yeast.
Sure.
That's my defense. So, it did not explode under my auspices.
But anyway, that was just aside the story. Real quick, though, Stephanie, what is the YouTube?
I have it.
Yeah.
I have it. It's right there.
There it is.
Yep. That is in my other channel.
Sorry.
It is called 5 Signed Freedom because I'm a writer and I wanted the channel name to be roll off your tongue, which doesn't always roll off your tongue. You're saying 5 Signed Freedom, but there's 5 of us. We're free from a house to roam around. That's how I came up with the channel name.
Yeah, no,
but there's like adventures of us trying to find a good level camping spot in Reno. There's like went to the Grand Canyon, went to the Petrified Forest. There's like fun, like touristy stuff like that. But then there's also like, we're here for a week and it's hot and we ran out of gas. So there you go. Because they greatly underestimated how much gas this 10,000 pound trailer that we had would suck out of our truck. So we've traded it in since then, and now this one is like 5,200 pounds. So it's like half the weight. So I'm curious to see how much better it might be. So,
well, I have subscribed. Yeah. Angelina, I hope you've seen the link so you can subscribe too. So we, and Grayson, so we all can enjoy watching your adventures.
Yes, it's amazing how much like at ease I am recording our adventures and like videotaping stuff and talking to the camera when it's about like what we're doing. When it comes to me, like word vomiting my books that I'm writing, like I'm not great at it.
Oh, same.
Yeah, I've subbed. Everyone go sub. Go
Everybody
get your friend
sub.
We just have to get her up to just, over 100 for like a few days.
She's that Vanity Earl.
Yeah.
Hey now.
I'm sorry. Did you not notice this monster of a link versus even Fine Freedom is still shorter than this?
I would love it if it was shorter. It'd be great if I get up to that.
Yeah, it's like everyone just get your friend to go sub.
Yeah.
Guilt them if you have to.
And then I can
just
change
need a couple more.
you
can change the cost.
A couple more. Come on, Tom. I need a lot more than a couple more. Okay.
How many do you need to change to be able to change it?
100.
You need to have
all right
minimum.
Yeah,
and then you need
right
to
now
100 for at least a couple weeks before they'll let you do it.
I am subscribed. I thought,
Are you subscribed to the other? Oh,
yeah, I am.
Yay!
Yeah, I'll go get my business account and others subscribed as well. It's like just go get everything you can. I mean, come on.
Yep. Well, we're up to 30 subscribers.
Fun.
Yep.
Even if you didn't grow, even if you're too young to remember, we all enjoy watching, what was it? Family Vacation, National Lampoon.
National Lampoon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those shoes. I will never forget those loafers.
Woohoo, I'm up to 36 on that channel.
Yeah. I'm going to subscribe. It won't let me do it straight from StreamYard. And it won't even let me copy and paste. That's so rude.
Yeah.
Post it on
I'll go on
the
my
Instagram group.
Oh yeah, do that.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
I'll go do that real quick.
Somebody
like
do it
streams.
I'll go do that real quick.
Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can.
Okay.
No. It's just not clickable, and it won't let me. Oh, I can copy now.
It's just being a butt. It's just being a butt.
It is.
But just as a good note, I'll just go put it,
Yeah, for anyone else.
Friends.
Yeah.
Like not everybody could be here today for a variety of reasons.
I'll put it in the comments once we finish the show.
Cool. Thank you, Tom.
Helping a friend.
I didn't touch it.
No, I just opened up Instagram and it was a real up close, real up close face shot of OK Word, just staring back at me. From here. I wasn't quite prepared for a life-size face staring back.
It does sound a little bit intimidating.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it's pretty in your face.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that tickles. Okay. So yeah, remember, Tom, what were we going to talk about?
Let's talk about Idris Elba and
Yes.
Heimdall.
Yes. So here's my
should be
question for
king.
y'all. As somebody who's been a business owner multiple times, a leader multiple times in various other business and academic situations, I am here to propose that the true and right king of Asgard is Heimdall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Specifically, Idris Elba's version of Heimdall. Idris, Heimdall really shows in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that he is the real leader. He is the one who is really taking care of the Asgardians. He has their best interests at heart. He only commits treason when it's best for Asgard. He seems to have to do nearly every movie. I would say every movie, every Thor movie. Spoilers. Heimdall has to commit treason for the benefit of Asgard and the Asgardians. And I am here to say that he is the true and rightful king. And this is my campaign. Please come and join me.
I'm here for this. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that.
Y'all. Mm-hmm. Hello.
And who is it in Ragnarok that is actually going to round up and saving all the Asgardians? It's Heimdall.
Yes, he's going out and collecting them as they wander in the woods, and he's like, "Come this way, I'll take you back to our new village." Yes, Heimdall is the true and rightful king. He is the one I would trust.
See in Avengers, every fear Loki had about Thor comes true in Avengers when all the Asgardians are on Earth, and Thor is doing nothing. Thor is not in any way being a king or a leader.
You're talking about what is it in Endgame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one where he gets
Thor does not lead. Valkyrie is the one who's having to lead. I don't know. Did Heimdall disappear in the snap? Is that what happened?
I think he disappeared. I don't.
Yeah, and so Valkyrie had to take over, and so she's running the show. But it's like, excuse me, Thor, you wanted to be king. You thought you were going to be king, and then now, when your people actually need a king, you are sitting on your butt, intimidating other video game players instead of taking care of your people on their tiny little village in Norway. What the heck?
Yep.
Yes, a fine Idris.
I mean, I'll be honest.
Like, Valkyrie did a great job, and I love her too.
Yeah. I'll be honest, when I heard that when they were casting the movie that they cast Idris Elba, I was like, okay, what is up with this trying to make a more mixed Asgard? On the other hand, Idris Elba is such a good actor.
So good.
Oh,
yeah,
and that
he sells everything. You just want to you trust whatever he says.
Yes.
I mean, he is the leader the Asgardians need.
Well, his confidence comes from like a solid rock of he knows what he is doing. He knows what is needed, and he is 1,000% willing to step up to the plate to take care when no one else will.
Absolutely.
But he's happy to give space for everyone to use their best qualities. Like, he doesn't need to no, I'm doing. No, that is not Idris Elba's version of Heimdall. And I love it. I really am like, why are we not talking about it in any of the movies? Like, at least somebody should make a side comment. At the very least, Loki, who does truly see more than like Thor and Odin. Why is even Loki not making a side comment of, the true king. Hello, Heimdall. Nothing.
Right.
Right? Like, is this short-sightedness on the writers? Is this, I don't know.
No, their main focus is just Thor. It's like, you guys have such a great cast of characters that you could utilize, and you just don't.
Mm-hmm.
You want to put Thor up there on a pedestal, and it's like, it's not working at all.
Yeah. Thor is, if we're going to talk about stories and cooking, Thor is a great spice. He's something that's always fun to add to the story. But he is not a lead main character.
Mm-mm.
They're trying so hard to make him to be, though.
Yeah. Like, Loki is a good main character because Loki's always conflicted. In every movie, we actually see Loki is, in fact, conflicted about his loyalties and how he should act. Mm-hmm. We see... actually, even the trio of Earthlings, of Jane Foster and the Scandinavian guy and Darcy.
The Scandinavian
what I
guy.
call Morgan Morgensen.
Yeah.
I never remember the actor's name, but it's Eric Morgensen is the character, and I'm like,
versus, holding true to, someone say Scandinavian actor? Oh, so someone Skarsgård?
I like my version, Morgan Morgensen.
Yeah, Bork.
I'm sorry, I grew up on Muppets, y'all.
I mean, yeah, I have not watched, so I don't know who's the actor. So I would help you, but I haven't.
It's one of the Skarsgårds. Is the actual actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one from Pirates of the Caribbean who played Will Turner's father.
That guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV.
One of those Scandinavian actors that has,
the Swedish actor,
popular in America. Yeah, it's fine.
But that was what I was joking of, like, is it a Scandinavian? Oh, Skarsgård. We didn't doubt the last name Skarsgård.
Yeah. Pennywise or the other one?
The other one.
Okay.
Tarzan.
Actually, no, not those brothers. No, this is like their older uncle.
Yeah, I think it is an uncle.
Is this actor?
Oh my God! How many
because there's only Skarsgårds. Did you not get that memo?
8 Skarsgård in Hollywood,
and they all kind of look related. Like there's no question. It's like, what Skarsgård in what age group would you like on the maleness? I think maybe like one or two females, and they do look like.
Yeah, there is.
Look like they put longer hair and like a little feminizing on the jaw, and here we are. Would you like a female version of Skarsgård? This is all we have available. This is all we have. We have 8 Skarsgårds. Pick one.
Oh my God.
But yeah. He still has the guy who plays Dr. Eric Stevens, I think, or something. The character. He does have great chemistry with Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings. I love in Thor and all the Thor movies when the trio show up. They have such fantastic chemistry. I always wish they had more scenes or longer scenes because it's hard to stay interested in Thor. But the 3 Earth, the 2 scientists and Kat Dennings as the lovable, mouthy sidekick, have fantastic chemistry. It's just fun to watch them deal with gods. And, the Skarsgård, who, went crazy because Loki got in his mind and made him go mad. So he ends up rampaging around Stonehenge naked at one point and gets sectioned in Britain. And then, Darcy, Kat Dennings' character's got to go bail him out, get him out of there. And he's like trying to take the pills, and then he sees how insane the world is. Like birds are disappearing and then coming out of the ground. He's like, and he dumps his meds. He's like, oh, and they're like, don't you need your meds? Like, no, the world is crazier than me. It's fine. And I feel, number one, this is very on brand for anybody who's had a Norse god in their head. And number 2, very much like, yeah, that's all the scientists I've ever met. Yes. When they see the world is crazier than them, they're like, everything's fine. I don't need to stress this. Yeah, I loved it.
But that just further, again, every character is just so much more flavorful and exciting to watch than Thor himself.
Yes.
It was like, I really love Kat Dennings. I'm sorry, she cracked me up in every scene she was in.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love the way she says Mew Mew.
Mew Mew.
Mew Mew.
Instead of Mjolnir or whatever.
Mjolnir.
Doll, how do you pronounce?
Mjolnir.
Try again.
Mjolnir.
All right, I'm going to go with Mew Mew too. I think that's
Yeah, now hearing you say that, I'm like, nope, not going to say that.
Nope.
It's okay. Just say
I do not have the phonemes in this mouth for no.
The hammer.
Mew Mew.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I really get where Kat Dennings was coming from. Like, Mew Mew.
It's even funnier to watch everyone. I went to a store and they had a nice Mew Mew, and they had a big 5'6" like statue of it, and I was like,
"Wow,
why is it so big? Why?" And I'm like, "I want this." And to watch a lot of guys walk up and they're like, "Ooh, can we see the hammer?" And the guy up front's like, "What hammer?" It's like he really wanted. He goes, please say it, please. Like it makes my day. One guy said he's like meow meow. I was like, okay.
Like why does everything sound like the Swedish chef talking nonsense?
like and he would just his face would just crack up. He goes, okay, that's enough. Yeah, you can see it. It was just.
Did I say meow meow? Thank you.
Like the at least an attempt must be made.
Right? He's like, what about you? I was
exactly.
like, mew mew. That's it. Yeah, that's all you're getting out of me is mew mew.
And then it's like you. What about you? And I come here like, hi, can I see Mjolnir? Everyone like, whoa, okay. My learning of Icelandic paid off.
Definitely.
I really want one of those. Actually, I want a Mew Mew.
Yeah, there needs to be a prize for whoever can say it right. Like you get an actual sized one to take with you.
I really want it. It's so beautiful. Like the details are amazing.
I will be giving you my post address so you can send it to me.
I'm keeping it.
Just ship this 5-foot hammer.
It's taller than me.
It's my size basically because I'm 5'1".
It's a human size hammer, and by that we mean human size.
Well, that's just an anime scene waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It's like Dahl with a massive Mjolnir, like, yay, my hammer. Everyone is like,
how's that gonna work? Yeah.
Is it your hammer or are you the hammer's human?
Yeah, are you the I would dare to say, are you the hammer's human? Oh, that makes more sense.
Can you imagine someone trying to break in her house and she grabs Mew Mew and they're like, well, ooh, wait, ooh.
They're like, never mind.
What are you doing?
I apologize.
Wrong house, sorry.
I'm just going to let myself out the way I can.
Explain that to cops. How'd you get hurt? She swung a Mew Mew at me.
And they're like, sure, what's up?
She's like, what?
Spell that.
I can't breathe. I'm dying of laughter over here. That mental image of I sincerely need one of those.
She would be in rooms big enough to swing a Mew Mew.
I mean, that would feel amazing though. It's like, please just touch the door handle. Let me swing it one time.
Yes.
Who know? You know, given the way human memory is, they may just tell the cops that a hammer attacked them.
Right. There was no person. It just did it on its own.
It just kept swinging itself. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
I let myself out and ran. Yeah. I was afraid it would
The hammer rose up and just started swinging.
That would be their statement. Yeah, the hammer rose up and hit me. So, yeah, that's how I fell back out of the house.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight? Because
no, butVe got a headache.
But I am now.
It was the hammer.
The hammer did it all its own.
Oh man, what a coincidence! Because that horror short story also has a Mew Mew in it.
All the Mew Mews needed.
All the Mew Mews. I love it.
Oh my god!
I mean, one of the things though I did like that I saw change, and I could tell Marvel was taking some criticism from the first movie to the third movie. Is that first one is so white.
Yes.
It is so white. It's like, this feels a little appealing to the wrong crowd.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel uncomfortable watching this.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
And
why
then by the third movie, probably in part because Taika Waititi's directing,
yes,
it's actually, a nice mix of people in Asgard and everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's not a your movie's so white joke.
Literally, we were pausing crowd scenes on Asgard to go, do you see anybody with a tan even? Or is it just Lily White? What is this about?
Is it the elves? Is it all high elves?
What'd you say, Grayson?
We actually made that a drinking game, and
oh yeah,
we finished the bottle.
Okay, play the rules of your drinking game. I always am ready to hear a new one.
Anything of Asgard, it's like if you don't see any tan skin, you take a drink. So yeah, that bottle emptied very quickly.
Wow. Yeah. No, like for those who argue that but Scandinavia, they're all white and whatever. I can argue that even historically.
Yes.
They were travelers.
Yes, we know Scandinavians made it all the way down to Egypt as a regular trade route.
Yep, and even Turkey, Egypt, all that area, and there are ton people there, Middle Eastern, and
some of them would move and join the Scandinavians like it's voluntary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like
sometimes it's not voluntary. Let's be honest.
Sometimes it's not voluntary. But some people got married. Some people adopted a child. Whatever. Just like today.
Yeah.
Just like today.
What's that website? What's that guy? Is he on Instagram or woman? I just can't remember now.
I don't know. You have to give me a hint.
The one who goes over people of color in European art.
Oh
yeah.
He has a fantastic Twitter account.
Is it medieval POC? No.
Maybe
it is.
No,
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it is.
It might be. Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
And I love that one also for just showing there's people of color all across Europe. They just whiteified everything in the 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they posted one that was a cartoon from the 1400s. And it was two groups of people talking to each other, 3 people on one side, 3 people on the other. And one of them was a tall black female figure. And there were several cartoons of these. And it's like, wow, she was there. When was this cartoon drawn? 1400s. Alrighty.
Yeah.
And, like she was a prominent person. It's like, I wonder who she was. Very curious.
Well, I mean, like, as one thing that has always stayed true, that people don't always like to talk about, is power tends to define the culture at any point in time.
Oh yeah.
And was it 1000 or 1200 when the richest person ever, was an African?
The king of Mali.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And was going around the Middle East and Eastern Europe.
Yep.
I mean, like, people knew about this person very well. Like, no one, and also racism literally was invented in the 1600s.
Yeah.
But up until that point, no, people of color were like, "Who are you? I'm curious about your culture. What spices do you have to bring?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone loves new flavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
King of Mali was very altruistic as well. I think this is why his riches went away, because he just gave it away. Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard. But King of Mali was the richest man alive back in his time.
Ever.
Yeah.
No, ever.
Wow.
They've done studies, and it's literally like worth trillions and trillions of dollars.
Amazing.
The resources he had, like, it was outrageous.
And there you go. It was a black man.
Mm-hmm.
So no, medieval Europe, had no problem with people of different, from around the world coming there. They were throughout
different cultures.
Scandinavia was never blonde-haired, lily white.
No.
Right.
I mean, if nothing else, they were always living there with the Sami.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There were several groups who lived there at the same time, always.
Thank you. Respect the Sami people in the north. Yeah, this is a very much a topic discussed in Finnish culture quite often. So
and let them take care of the caribou and the reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful when they don't.
Yes.
Mm. So it was medieval Europe didn't have gas airplanes and the machines that we have today, but you bet people still travel. They had horses, they had feet, they had something to move along with, so they traveled. Traveling was not invented in the 50s or something.
And we now have evidence and proof of Vikings and Scandinavians going to the Americas.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And to the Middle East. We also have Arab traders in the Middle East going to the Americas.
To the Carolinas, specifically North and South Carolina, and parts of the panhandle of Florida. Hence why Tallahassee is Tallahassee. That is specifically a Arab translation.
Mhm.
I wrote a whole paper on it. I also have a PowerPoint presentation if anybody is ever interested. I think I still know where it is on my computer. If anybody is ever interested in any of my multicultural education PowerPoint presentations, I would be happy to share because I did all that work. I want to share. It does have a more Mississippi-centric, I will say, though. But yeah, so as we talk, I talked a lot about the Choctaw. But anyway, enough of my plug. Sorry. But it is interesting because with so much trade, we know that there were Chinese traders going to the Pacific Northwest, actually all along the Pacific coast, all the way down to South America, multiple times over the past 2,000 years-ish. We have quite a bit of written records in China about this. So everybody would get in their boats and go around the world. It was fantastic, and it was not so boundary specific like how the last couple hundred years have been.
Facts.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like Ragnarok definitely seemed more representative of probably what people thought of, you know, a pantheon and a people from that would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I like whatever fan that managed to Twitter and communicate with Taika about the fact that in the previous two movies, Thor had not said any of his catchphrases.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only. It was only the fan that really got, you know, by Odin's beard. You will not touch my hair.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like a Firefly says, Somali used to be in charge of ocean trade to the east. Foreigners wanting to go that way had to ask permission of Somalian leaders at the time. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yep.
I'm learning a lot today.
Yes.
I'm always
so if you write historical fiction, don't be afraid to put people of color in it. And if anybody tries to call you on it, call them on it back.
Yes, and there's a lot of great historians who are happy to help any writer, like as far as like help. I want to put this in, but I need to cite a source because I don't want, you know, the people coming for me on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are so many fantastic people like on Twitter, Instagram, and even Facebook who this is their background and they are happy to help because they want to spread that. This is why they got into like art research or anthropological research. This is why they got into it, to like say the world the way the, like, for instance, Victorians were trying to portray it is not anything based in reality.
Like one of the things Glory found years ago that I loved hearing about was Jewish families in China, in ancient China. If you have an old family and their last name is a precious metal or stone,
like
then
sapphire.
your family's Jewish in Chinese. And this, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago at least.
And they're still there.
Yeah.
There are still hundreds of Chinese families in the heart of China who are Jewish, who still have the Chinese translation of gold, silver, sapphire, emeralds, rubies, and so on. And they have been keeping their traditions alive for centuries, for millennia at this point, actually, for some of them. So this whole idea of that the world is very much like how I would call categorized, of like the Chinese are in China and they're nowhere else.
And they're just Han Chinese.
Right. And the Europeans are in Europe and they never got out and nobody came in. Like this idea of socially closed borders is BS.
Oh, yeah.
People have been wandering as long as people have been people. Yeah. We actually know this. We're able to study the progress of humans starting in the cradle of Africa on out through language. We can actually tell when people approximately showed up in every part of the world based on the phonemes their language uses. Again, I'm trying to use up what I learned in college. I made a lace. Because what was the point of all this if I can't share it now? And so the language right around the cradle in Africa, you know, around Lake Victoria, that area, has the most number of phonemes. What we might call like syllables, u, and so on, right? It's like, I want to say like somewhere between 118, 130 something. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The further away you get from the cradle, the fewer phonemes. Hence why you may notice a lot of repetitious syllables in Polynesian languages. So you can imagine by the time you get to tribes in Australia, there are even fewer. And that is actually how we're able to trace the movement of human beings all throughout the planet, is how many different phonemes does your language use? So we kind of have an approximate idea of how people spread and where they came from. So we think what happened originally. So you got the cradle. And then at some point, the theory currently is that people noticed that elephants would literally swim to Africa. Not Africa, to India and back. And so we think that the first humans that went wandering literally hitched rides on elephants or swam along them or made little boats. And there are documentaries about this. So you can also watch elephants swimming underwater, which is so cool because they're snorkeling. It is the coolest thing you've ever seen. But anyhow, so this language with the second most phonemes is actually that tip of India. And then we can now tell where people went from there in a variety of directions, depending on the phonemes. The languages are different, but the sounds are approximately similar. So the further you get away from the cradle of Africa, the fewer phonemes. Essentially, people seem to, as a group, they would drop phonemes and as they'd settle down. We're not actually sure why on that one, but we know that it's just something that humans kept doing for literally tens of thousands of years. And that's how we trace human migration. It's very cool. And also where they went from point A to the next, so how they got to North America and from where, because there's actually several migration points into North and South America. It didn't happen just once. It actually happened many, many times. And so we know from where they started to then where did they end up in the Americas each time based on the phonemes in their language. It is the coolest thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah. If you need to know the most, not quite antisocial, but just they earned the wandering, the Australian peoples, especially the ones I want to say, if I remember right, in the north eastern section, were like the first group to really leave the cradle of Africa, and they just kept going till they got to the end on foot, because you could walk originally on a land bridge across Vietnam through Malaysia and such. Not Malaysia.
Indonesia,
and it's, I can't remember the name of the island. It has two countries that all the anthropologists like to go study. But yeah, they went ahead of everyone else. It would actually be like
Java, the Javanese, right? Yeah. Because they also had the Hobbit people, which Hobbits were real.
Isn't it Papua New Guinea?
Yeah, Papua New Guinea. That's something. Okay. They crossed there. They got to Australia, and that was it. And that's also why their culture for tens of thousands of years now is we like to just go walking.
Yes.
Because it would be like another 30,000 years before anyone else left Africa. But they were just like, we got to get out of here.
Naked Firefly says, I know there's a myth in Ethiopia that there were dragons who were so huge and they only ate elephants. They would swim across the ocean following their food when they migrated. Because elephants like to go between Africa and India. And it's not just like, oh, the food is lesser, we're going to go over to this side. They just like to do it. Apparently, they literally will swim both ways in a week just for the fun of it. But if I had a built-in snorkel, I would probably do the same thing, y'all.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. I would I'm just going to go swimming with my huge old ears and my big old butt. Let's go. Yes.
Should we take another little break?
Oh, sure. Let's do another break. I love y'all, but I'm going to do the puppy timer again because I just love looking at Laura's new puppy timer. I hope nobody is I'm tired of looking at puppies. I am campaigning for kitten timers. If anybody knows anybody who makes timers and is looking for ideas, a 10-minute kitten timer would be great too. I'm just throwing that out there. But I will see y'all back here in approximately 10 minutes. Be sure to get up, stretch, maybe a bathroom break, maybe a water break. You know, I'm just saying popcorn is writer food. I'm just saying. Not sponsored, y'all. I'm teasing. Beepity beep. Beepity beep. Beepity beep 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 beep. Hello, hello. All right. So, how did everybody do?
Had a nice good stretch. I got me some more water and adjusted the AC more because it's so hot.
I was like, yes, I'm glad we had that break. I passed 2 kidney stones, so that's great. That's done.
Wow, you worked. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, I accomplished it. Anyway, and if you hear anything in the background, it's because Tom has just turned on the blender. So I put the recipe in the chat. It's 3 shots of pineapple juice, 1 banana, 3 shots of amaretto, 2 shots of peach tree schnapps, 1 shot of whipped cream vodka, and 10 to 20 ounces of ice, depending on, how diluted you want to make that.
Did somebody say vodka? Oh,
yes. And it's yes. So that's what he is blending up. I told Tom the other day that what I really needed this summer is blended drinks because I miss slushy margaritas and stuff. And that everybody's manifesting things, so I'm going to manifest a blender. I told him I'm going to tell everybody about this thing till I get a blender. And he told me yesterday, I went and I found possibly an okay blender at Big Lots, I think, for like $25. So he's like, I don't know how long it'll last, but we'll try it. And I'm like, I will take it. So, yes. So, did anybody else get important things done? A snack?
That's what I wanted to say. I think I will have to go because I started editing that short story again, and I am in the groove, and I'm like, no, get back to that. Get back to that. It has been a very difficult time for me, and writing was nearly impossible. Personal things were happening, and I nearly quit the whole thing. So I have been reflecting a lot. Do I really want to continue? Do I really want to keep on being a writer, or just forget that I ever tried? And that kind of thing. And I'm like, no. I will solve the problems. I will just continue, and I will do my best. And so today for the first time, I opened my documents again.
Yay!
So happy for you.
So, would you like to do an outro?
Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it is so interesting, Glory. I need to hear more about your multicultural studies because I am a fan of that thing. I'm Dal Cecil Bruno. I'm a partially blind author, also known as the Ace from Space. I write primarily sci-fi, but as you can tell, I'm a genre hopper. I also try thrillers, horror, even romance happened once, and I write some poetry as well. My YouTube channel is a little stuck, and now I told you why. I almost quit the whole thing. It was hard. I'm spending more time on Instagram, which is weird, but I figured out my Instagram, and now I'm there a little bit more often. So you can follow me there. All my social media platforms are Dal Cecil Bruno, like the name that you see on screen. So I am very easy to find, and I always make sure to get the same picture everywhere, so I'm the same everywhere.
Excellent.
And it's been an amazing conversation. It inspired me to open up that story. And I mean, my main character is an Asatru pagan, and so Norse pagan. There's a Mew Mew. she tries to use the Mew Mew. She tries to use the runes at some point. It's a horror. So I hope that when I have it ready, I hope that you will like it.
Awesome.
Well, I'm so glad we can all be of assistance in inspiring you to open your file back up.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
That's great.
Thank you. I'm very, very, very,
I feel
very
like we're
happy.
kind of godparents to your story, like everybody here today.
In a way, yeah.
Yep.
I'm editing, so the draft is completed. But of course, being Dal, I need to add up a little bit of detail because I always miss the details. like the descriptions. So that's what I'm doing right now. So that's why I'm going early. I might come back. I might come back to the after party or to the end of the stream. We'll see.
Great.
I might be back.
But yeah, go with the inspiration.
Yes, go with it. Ride the wave.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
We just send. Yeah, I'm so glad that we could all be part of that. That was very cool.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the point of these shows is to kind of help inspire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during the break, I got about 140 words. I was writing also.
Hey, this is really cool. I am so glad. That's awesome, Nia.
But I mean, I can't say anything. Like usually we'll watch the movies, and then it's like, what's our take? What's the copy we're going to use? And most times, half the time, I'll just going, I have no idea, Glory. I just don't. And so she'll just start. Let's be honest. You start rambling about stuff, and then after about an hour or two, it's like, all right, I got it. Because just enough little random things have sort of made little links. In part because of the stuff she's talking about too. It's like, okay, no, I got it. I know how we can approach this. I have, some ideas now.
Yes, Maggie got 215 words. Everybody is being so productive. I'm so happy. And Tom made cocktails. It's delicious, by the way.
I know. This was a really productive break. I literally used it as a writing sprint. I was like, perfect timing.
That is honestly what we really wanted with getting excited about movies is to get people's storytelling gears lubricated up and get them thinking in different ways. Because when you make those cross connections in the brain, that's where the magic happens. At least for me anyway. And that's what we've always wanted to help others with of just kind of spark that. That's the real awesome part. Maggie says, I hate that my internet is so laggy today. I will definitely have to watch the replay because I know I'm missing so much. Maggie, I cannot wait for the stars to align and us to figure out how to get you more reliable internet.
Mm-hmm.
She is out there in the boonies by a mountain. It's a rough time. So, yeah. So good stuff. Aw, that's so sweet, Eva. You're all great company. I know that I'm having fun.
I thought for, now that we've talked a lot about, some of our problems and other things, we can talk about, the real fun, which is Thor Ragnarok. of just a diversity of thought.
I was like, yeah, let's let everybody go on the when I mean go, I mean just start talking about Thor Ragnarok. I know we're all here for this.
Anything Thor Ragnarok? I think that I don't know if Thor Ragnarok learned from what was going on with Guardians of the Galaxy, but there were little tiny bits and pieces of the humor, and then they really brought it more for Ragnarok. You could see little sparks of it. In
there was more levity.
Yeah,
in Ragnarok than the other two.
Mm-hmm. There's something about that. Yeah, it didn't distract, and it didn't become just straight comedy because we still had the story going on. But it was enjoyable and delightful, kind of. I don't know if that's the right word, but everything lately has been so dark grim, which is fine. But sometimes you don't want or need that. And to be able to take something very serious, I mean, everything that was going on with, Asgard is being destroyed, this is very serious, but to be able to have those breathable moments, those laughable moments, it's just... And
we even see, the Grand Master is simultaneously incredibly scary.
Yeah, he's horrifying.
Oh, don't use that word. What, mainframe? No. Who cares about mainframe? No, I don't like that other one. Oh, slave. Okay, fine. The prisoners with jobs.
With jobs.
Talk about, truly some shade on, I feel like at least the American prison system, if not a bunch of countries' prison system. Yeah, yes. Thank you. But, you know, in a fun way, right? Because that, I know, like, in Judaism, like, culturally, we're taught that if you're trying to get a message across that people don't necessarily want to hear, use comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are so much more open to a joke, and then they'll think about it later. You can get them to crack that veneer on their own because they want to laugh. If you know, so you can get into them with jokes.
I mean, Thor and Hulk, and that, you know, them discussing their anger is a lot easier to take because there's Hulk going, Thor sad.
Thor sad.
And then, no, Thor like smoldering fire. Hulk raging fire. I mean, of just the ridiculousness of these analogies.
Thor like water. No, I think I'm like a fire too. Little fire.
But dealing with, you know, but at the same time dealing with this very serious,
like,
a
grief.
lot of emotions.
I mean, Thor has legitimate grief right now. You know, he's lost his father, who he never quite entirely had validation from. He's lost Mew Mew.
His mom.
His mother, Frigga, as well. And he's just found out he has a sister he didn't know about. And also, she's, you know, a malevolent force. Everybody has now warned him about her. And now he's stuck on this planet he's never even heard of. And, you know, this is not where he wants to be. And he feels torn and you know, the whole thing. Like, yeah, there's a lot of grief to deal with. And instead, the way we handle it is we put in these moments of levity. I think it is so useful.
Yeah, even when he's in the arena with Hulk and he's like ready to tell him what's been going on, he's like, dude, yeah, all this bad stuff is happening. I lost, you know, they're getting ready to fight. And he's like, I lost my hammer.
Like, read the room, buddy. No, Thor's too much in his own head. He's not paying attention.
Hulk is really about to try and kill you.
You're embarrassing me.
Like, you're embarrassing me, dude. I just told these people we know each other.
Like, oh God, Thor, you are such a hot mess, sweetheart. But we know that people can be like that in their deepest moments of grief, that they can be like kind of all over the place.
Yeah. And
so, like, we laugh because it's relatable also, but he's like literally yelling to a stadium that he's a work colleague. Who does that?
Thor. Thor does.
Thor does.
Also, it drives me nuts that Thor keeps calling Hulk and Banner by the wrong name the whole time.
Yes.
He's calling Hulk Banner, and he keeps, you know, referring to Banner as a Hulk, and that he needs Hulk, and that Banner, it's lovely to see, but I really need Hulk back. And it's like, and when Hulk was around, he kept going, you know, where's Banner? It's like, oh, Thor, honey. Talk about a time when you really do need your mom. Yeah.
Another thing I saw happen in Ragnarok that I really enjoyed as a way to kind of I can't remember how I was gonna say this, but Taika definitely used a lot of Chekhov's gun from the previous two movies. We see so many references, but inverted. So, you know, who doesn't love the scene in Ragnarok when Thor gets slammed back and forth out in the arena and Loki stands up going, yes, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Talk about a sibling moment.
All these callbacks in the style of Chekhov's gun that we, you know, get to see. As for everyone who watched before, they get an additional bit of enjoyment from all these scenes. There's a lot more payoff given in this movie than the other two. Like, there was a little bit, you know, in each of the previous two movies to kind of set up the situations, but you didn't have, like, you know, where there's just so many callbacks for everyone who watched the previous movies to get and enjoy, you know, oh, hey, that's what's going on here.
Right. It really nicely tied a lot of it together, of the previous movies, because the first and second movie, to varying degrees, felt a little scatterplot-ish. And this, the third movie, Ragnarok, really made it feel like, oh no, we've now pulled it all together. So there's a payoff to a bunch of these jokes or these situations. It was really nice to be able to kind of pull it in, which again, I'm just saying, you can totally zero draft a series like the first one and realize, oh, wait, I have a series on my hands. Try to start outlining the second one. By the time you get to the third one, just start pulling in points from the first two and people will swear you're a genius. Just run with it. Give those payoffs. It's very useful. Whether, we're talking about a book or just like short story series. It definitely works. So you don't have to know what you are doing. You could pants this baby all you want. Just by the third one, start pulling in callbacks from the previous two stories so that people are like, oh, finally the payoffs are here. It's great. Yeah.
Like you didn't even know there was going to be a payoff, but you get that dopamine of this idea has now been completed. Hela has so many references to how Loki acted in Avengers.
Yes.
That Loki now has to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
That is, again, great little callbacks and payoffs that they didn't even know were going to come. Let's see, what other were the...
I don't would anyone else have anything that they want to get ahead on Ragnarok or anything? I mean, no, good.
I love Valkyrie. She was great.
Oh, she's just the best.
Yes.
Of course, I love Tessa Thompson anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like the chemistry with Banner, with Mark Ruffalo.
Yes. I liked when they're like, I could swear I know you.
You too, yeah. Me too. Yeah, I loved it. They're friends. They're real friends.
We also get a sort of a payoff, or at least a little peek inside the psyche of Banner. Of Valkyrie is so similar to and Banner obviously just has a thing for strong women.
Strong women.
Like the second Valkyrie shows her strength, Banner's just like, hello.
Banner has a type, and we now have 2 data points here.
Starting to notice some similarities here.
And even if it's just a friend type, we see it. Yep. Wherever he goes, he's attracted to strong women. This is not a bad choice here. I could personally attest it's a great choice. Everyone should try it.
What was the rock guy? I loved his character.
Cork?
The rock guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic. I don't know. Yes. I like this type of character that's so calm and innocent, but he's also
he's a New Zealander.
It's a New Zealander. It's actually based off of a real bouncer Taika knew at one of his first jobs. I love the idea that Korg goes the reason the revolution did not work the first time was he didn't print enough flyers.
It's
not that people were not interested. It's not
only
that
his mom showed up.
It was a lack of pamphlets. That's the problem, Korg.
I'm I love this.
Just... Also, hey, nothing to worry about. I'm just a sentient rocks, perishable rocks. But don't worry unless you're scissors, Just a little rock joke. He's just why?
He's just
again a way to
awkward. Love him.
Yes,
but again, we see Korg used several times to show the brutality of this place.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, there's still blood and hair on this weapon. Don't you guys clean it up after the battle? I mean, that is awful if you think about this for a moment. But he delivers it with so much levity.
He delivers it like people do at the office. Please don't leave your photocopy stuff in the copier. Mm-hmm. We don't know where to put it. I need to photocopy my stuff. Or don't leave, your lunch out.
Food in the lunchroom. Exactly.
Right. Don't leave your cup in the sink.
That's what it sounded like to me.
It very much felt like don't leave your cups and bowls in the sink, guys, with dirty. At least rinse them out. It's just another day in the office.
Yeah, if you use the conference room, please take all your stuff back with you when you leave so that the next person can use the conference room. Thank you.
And I mean, how can't you love the response, the conversation towards the end where they're escaping and Korg turns off the electricity on Loki, and Loki says, "You look like you're in need of good leadership," and Korg just says, "Why, thank you."
Like, are you listening? It sort of reminded me of like where I was like, "Hey, I would love to have you on my show." Like, "Oh yes, you should totally come on my show." I'm like, "Did I misspeak?" Okay, I'll come on your show. Do they know I still want them to come on my show? Okay, whatever. I'll roll with it.
And also, we get a callback to the first movie where we see that Loki is, in fact, actually an excellent fighter. Loki just has a different
Style
approach to life. Mm-hmm. And because it's not identical to Odin, and so also not the way Thor approaches things, Thor and Odin just don't recognize him for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, we see this, how Loki is so different in an approach, but still does in the end many of the right things. Like Loki's still leading, but you see how Loki does his best to, still help the Asgardians and still help these people, showing up with this ship of, warriors of, hey, I'm here to help.
He doesn't go elsewhere, like Loki knows there's plenty of planets, right? There's a whole galaxy. He could go anywhere, but instead he's like, let's go back to Asgard first so I can go pick up the rest of the Asgardians, which he was just leader of. However bad he may have been at it, but he's like, let's go. And, and there's, Heimdall, like, yes, I saw you coming.
Of course you did.
I loved that. I love that. Like, Heimdall also has essentially, Idris Elba has some chemistry with Tom Hiddleston too, of like, yep. But I mean, part of that is the writing. It's very helpful of like, let's have some banter. And that is one of the things I love about Ragnarok. There is plentiful banter.
And unlike the other two, because you complained about this one in both movies, should we go with the more adult-oriented phrasing here?
I'm not sure where we're going, so.
The problem with Thor's quips. It's very small energy.
Oh, yes. Small member energy, yeah. I mean, like, we really don't see any high schoolers show up on the show anymore. When we first started, we saw a bunch of high schoolers. It's finals month. I'm not worried. It's little dick energy. It drives me nuts. This drives me nuts. I hate when people act like they're the victim and they're the one in power, and it drives me batty.
And we see this in both of the first two movies of Thor making these little comments like he's still unsure of himself, and he's always at the loser in this. It's like, you're literally the strongest person here. You have literally the strongest weapon here. As well as, like, we're still not that it's still not that great to us, that second movie where he literally just kills someone.
So we see that in one of the opening scenes, one of the first scenes in Dark World, where when they're on another world and they're dealing with an uprising, right? And Thor says, I accept your, like, full surrender. And then the monster, I don't know, what is that? It's not a troll, but something like that. Is like
another Korgs? It's the living rocks.
Yeah. And then he just decimates. He literally just kills this creature with Mew Mew. Like, that's it. I'm like, that is some little dick energy. Yeah. Like, if you are saying, I mean, like, number one, sarcasm is what people who feel like they are oppressed or they don't have a full voice or they're not heard. Sarcasm is what people use when they don't feel heard. But that's not Thor. Thor is the one who is winning. He is the one in charge of the winning team. So sarcasm is definitely out of place in that. It's saying like that Thor is a petty person rather than he's just trying to be heard. So he'll do it, in the like backhanded way. But that's not the case. That doesn't fit. And then he does not, actually hear the response of the creature. He just goes and destroys them. Like, just destroys them, like, murders them. That's murder. They did not actually even truly engage in battle. And I'm just like, this is some messed up crap. I expected better of somebody who's supposed to be hero. This is their hero movie. You know, Dark World's supposed to be another hero vehicle for Thor, and he acts like a villain. And I'm like, this is not cool.
But it's okay because Thor did it. But if Loki had did it,
then if Loki had done it, then everybody would have saw it for what it was. He's a powerful being who is just out of control and doing what he wants. And if people don't do what he wants, then he's just going to kill them. Yeah, but Thor did it.
It's like the Trickster's the one who actually has identity issues and things going on. And even he's nowhere sobbing and being victim like Thor. And it's like, Thor, you have no reason to do this. Why are you doing this? Stop. That's
because
just
Thor peaked in high school.
We've all met those people.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I feel like that opening scene of the first one is high school, the football champ running out and everybody rooting him on. And then he has
homecoming king.
Yeah. And that battle that he gets slaughtered, that they almost get slaughtered and his dad has to rescue him in is that
starts that
he
fight.
got the state championship in the bag and then they don't. And it's a total flop. You know, that's the energy I got from that first one. That's why I'm like, he had definitely upper teenage energy going on.
Oh yeah, especially one of the Frost Giants is like, yeah, run along, little princess. It's like, that's what made you stop and turn around? Seriously?
Like,
what are you, 5?
How delicate is your ego that you cannot handle somebody saying something not even that mean? I mean, that is really, oh no, they've questioned my masculinity. Oh, get over it, honey.
Like, I'm pretty sure him and Loki had harsher words towards each other, but someone saying little princess, that's what got you? Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
When in fact, have you seen Thor? Like, again, this is why we made the joke in the little short that we made for this episode about mother used to love to braid your hair, her little daughter. I mean, that long, beautiful hair, put the ribbons.
Oh, yeah. But man, the way he screamed when he got that haircut, though.
The vanity of it all.
Like, my locks. My locks, my golden locks.
Like,
yeah, Thor really is portrayed as like that high school football star, one of the most popular kids who had all the money, the swimming pool, the nice car, all the guys and gals wanted to be around. And it's like, why are you portraying that guy as the hero? He's not a hero. He's never worked for any of it.
Nope.
He's never had any personal growth, obviously. Why do we care? We don't. Thor cannot carry this movie because he's not one that we want to root for. Americans like the underdog. We like to root for people. But somebody who brought all the trouble on themselves, it's harder to root for them when they brought all of this onto themselves.
Versus if you just added in a few lines, Loki could have been the lead of that first Thor movie as he's pantsing and trying to cover up and then compensate for the mess he's sort of, created inadvertently. Mm-hmm. And because we see all these actions, Loki is not villainous.
Nope.
No. Well, if you ask my daughter, Loki is the star. It's called Thor. It's the Loki show.
And, Loki.
My girl.
Yeah.
She's on
something. I'm looking forward to, the miniseries coming out. Is it next month or something?
I want to say it's very, very soon.
Yeah.
Loki
has layers, and he was showing it. Because Tom Hiddleston delivered that very well. He's really good at showing layers, but it's almost like the second he got a little bit of growth, they try to strip it away again.
It looks like June 11th is currently the slated first episode date.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like Thor, but he's that guy in the ensemble. And so I feel like he's that guy, the jock in the ensemble.
I thought Thor
did him shirtless on purpose in these scenes to sell tickets.
Yes. Now, I thought, even though it's not part of the Thor movies, Thor as the straight man against Tony Stark as the punchline guy, I thought that was great. Like in Avengers, does Mother Knoweth You wear her drapes? Oh, what is this? Shakespeare in the Park. I loved that. But Thor carrying as a leading man or a leading person character, I was like, this is a hard sell, which is why it works so well as an ensemble show. The movies work so much better as ensemble. So, I mean, Loki is really required character for all this. That's why, spoilers, when what happened to Loki in Infinity War, I think it was Infinity War, right? It wasn't Endgame. But anyway, what it was to, I was like, what are we going to do now? What are we going to freaking do? Because, like, Loki, it needs to be the foil for Thor. Otherwise, Thor is a monster and boring at the same time, which I feel is a sin against humanity. To be boring and monstrous? Oh, please.
And then monstrous for no reason. That's even worse. Like, monstrous because what?
Just because he wants it. Just because, like, I have to deal with that crap in my real life. I do not want to pay ticket prices for this.
Yeah. And I thought he was great. Oh, go ahead, Grayson.
Oh, the first two movies, honestly, it's like they were hoping to pull the people who loved Thor the comics to really love him in the movies, but it doesn't help. It's like you have people also who are coming who are brand new to this. And so just pushing him off as, oh, he's automatically the hero, that doesn't work. Because in the comics, he had that depth, he had growth, and he had layers. Him and Loki had so many layers. And to kind of pull that back like, oh, Loki's just evil to be evil. Like, no. What? Yeah. He's eye candy. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what draws you to the first one.
Like, just take off your shirt, honey, and stand in the corner of the image, right? For us.
Just dance around for us.
While the good dialogue happens over on the other side.
He's in that category. He's like, you're really pretty until you start to talk and do things. And it's like, ooh.
And then it's like, it's just like that, like in real life. There's been a couple people in my life that I'm like, oh, hello. And then, I'm able to like essentially kind of corner them to have a conversation. I'm like, well, never mind. Bye-bye. I found something else to do. Like,
which is why I feel like Thor was so much better in Ragnarok.
Yes.
He was just better there. He got to be humorous and he almost got to be a little bit ditzy jock. Not that he's stupid, but because he's like a god and he's just so casual. That you're like, what? No.
He's a little oblivious. But I loved him in Thor Ragnarok. Like, it was like the first time I actually enjoyed seeing Thor talk in Thor Ragnarok. Before that, it's like, I'll just mute this.
Yeah, when he's spinning around, he's like, hold on. Just let me finish spinning. Okay, where were we? Go ahead, back to your monologue. Your evil villain monologue.
But then, like, in the last two Avengers movies, they went right back, and I'm like, I'm not here for this.
Yeah.
Of like we did all that progress, personal growth rise, and now we're right back to the Thor that nobody would like. The one who was that bully in high school, who's always had everything, and everyone's just given them because, oh, well, they seem so nice, and they probably have good connections. They've got money. Okay, good night, Naked Firefly. And it's like, could he just not talk?
Yeah, we got glimmers of it when he was with the Guardians, of those scenes with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Those were the most fun scenes with Thor, in those. But but that ensemble clicks like that. It clicks with that humor that he likes to do.
He works as an ensemble character.
Yes,
he really does.
And Thor Ragnarok, he's almost always with someone else that is equal. It's truly a peer as a character to him, whether it's Valkyrie or Hulk or Banner, or Loki. He is among peers, throughout as an ensemble, and so that works fine.
Yeah, even when he's tied up and the guy next to him gets evaporated, he becomes an ensemble in that scene. And it works great. When he sees Loki, he's like, Loki, what are you doing here? And then just that whole thing, because it's not, even though it's him.
I didn't get a chair.
Yeah, but there's like all this stuff going on with Loki that just draws that it's not all about Thor. Look, something is going on with Loki too, and something is going on with the Grand Master. amazing. And then you've got Valkyrie, you know, the whole scene. It was another ensemble. Every time they pulled him into an ensemble and he's able to play off of, you know, the people that he's around, made his character so much better, but he wasn't, he's yeah, that's just where he needs to be at. It works.
I have noticed, since we have for years helped other people with their characters and their stories, other writers, that more than a few times, Beer Gut Thor yelling at 12-year-old gamers, the true Thor. I mean, yeah, that's my problem. But like where like somebody, we've had writers in the past say to us, like, can you help me with this? I can't figure out how this story is not, why this story is not working. I'm going to be honest with y'all. 8 times out of 10, it's because the main character is terrible and no one would root for them in their mind, in their right mind. And this writer is just trying to push this character as the main character. And I'm like, okay, so is this like a narcissistic piece? Because if this is your comfort character and you are fine with never publishing, it's just write it and have fun, you know. But if you want readers to like it, you have got to make this person, this character, more amenable. We need to be able to root for them. Right now, they're a bit of a monster, you know, and it's been 8 times out of 10. That's been the problem, is they're trying to make as their main character somebody who is more of a villain at that point, or is not a good person, and they don't seem to have redeeming qualities. Which, let's be honest, writing is a therapeutic. We write what we want or what we want to see. It's normal. But sometimes some writers, I personally think, have a little bit of emotional growth to work on.
I mean, all right, real quick there.
Now, and that said, like, look, I love Ursula. Ursula was my favorite villain forever.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I'm not going to make Ursula the star of the show. She baddie. She hurt people.
Yeah, but no. I was going to make a case in point about Thor.
Okay.
And the writers who are writing Thor.
Yeah.
We see between the first Thor movie and the second Thor movie, and you know, Avengers, that what we end up with, and the approaches, is that Thor definitely has some very narcissistic qualities, especially towards Jane, in that essentially it's out of sight, out of mind. If Jane is not immediately around, Thor doesn't think about her and has no real plans to interact with. Thor only goes to Earth in the second movie because literally Heimdall goes, "Oh wait, where'd she go?"
I'm just saying Jane could do better.
Definitely.
Yes.
I mean, she's smart. She's got multiple PhDs at this point. She makes her own equipment. She could do better.
I mean, here's how bad it is to me.
When he's in the subway station, he's flirting with that other woman. I'm like, dude, you literally saw Jane 5 minutes ago, and now you're like, hey.
And for me, like the case,
I'm not saying they have to be monogamous. I'm okay. Look, I'm poly, but I'm like, look, if y'all haven't discussed it, maybe.
But like I can't remember the name of the actor, Moon Boy.
I don't know. Can we just say Irishman?
Irish. Yeah,
Can we
Irishman.
just say random Irishman actor?
Comedian.
I'm sorry. Have you noticed?
But I mean, even in the second movie,
he's nicer to her than Thor.
We see obviously he is not a great match for her.
No.
He still actually shows more consideration for Jane throughout that movie than Thor does.
When he's calling and her phone actually picks up, and he's like, "Oh, is this a bad time?" Like, look, that's better than Thor has ever treated Jane.
Yes.
It's just, is this a bad time? I'm like, girl, I don't think you should be with this Irishman, but I think that you need to drop Thor like a hot potato.
Yeah, even if you're not going to look at what it's like with somebody who cares. Just say it. It's like, did you drop something? He's hearing things going on. He's like, did you drop something? What's going on?
No, but they didn't try to sell it so bad.
Considerate. Even that first date, you see him go, I can tell you're distracted. You know, your friend, why don't you go?
Right.
Don't stay here on this date. Don't feel pressured. Go on.
Yeah.
Of like this guy who seemingly barely notices her. I mean, barely knows her. We never find out how in the world did they start going out on a date.
No. How did they? It
Because
seemed like a
Darcy
blind
said
date.
that no one's home. but he's still a better match. And he's obviously not a good match for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, we're pushing Thor.
Thor's going in my Katniss category, where I feel personally Thor needs to just be by himself for a while.
Yes.
Like do some soul searching, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be by yourself for a while. You're not good for somebody else right now. It's
Or
okay.
if you'd assume that Thor would know how to soul search.
Like, take him 1,000 years, but it's okay.
In fairness, he had 5 years in Norway, and all he did was drink beer and bully children online.
That was not cool.
Right? Oh, by the way, we did actually find out that Noob Master is actually the guy in Captain America Civil War when Steve and Natasha have the thumb drive and they go to like Best Buy or something to go
or the Apple store or something.
Yeah, whatever, when they go to the computer store in the mall. The guy who calls Steve a specimen, recently they did a commercial like literally a couple weeks ago, and that turns out to be Noob Master whatever.
69.
That's actually. So it's not a 12-year-old, but I mean like for quite a while I thought it was a child. Still, I mean, like, I think they were trying to save it of like Thor's a monster, and that's why they did that commercial. Like, honestly, they're trying to save it, but
yeah, Thor's one of those guys that you try to avoid when you're online. He's one of those guys.
One of those cringy trolls. Like, you know what? I don't need this kind of BS. Like,
and so I'm kind of curious to see where we'll go in the next movie, because Love and Thunder is the female Thor storyline, where Jane Foster secretly takes over the power of Thor. And Thor is a human again. So we'll see if we can get Thor to grow.
Is he just going to be lamenting?
Nia?
Power?
Thor sad. I honestly live for every time I can crack up Grayson. This is now my new show goal for the show. Anytime I can make Grayson just not be able to contain.
Just when he said that, all I saw was his frown just pout. I'm like, oh no.
Thor sad.
They just honestly, they need to dip back into the comics, because when female Thor happened, Thor was badass. He was like, oh no, I'll still fight. I'll still defend who I need to defend. He didn't sit there and mope. He's like, okay, what can I do? So I'm like, I hope they can dip back into the comics and allow him to still be awesome. And
I think they are bringing back Taika, so there's a good chance.
Taika's in charge of Love and Thunder, from what I understand.
I hope, yes, please.
And if I understood correctly, Taika's also writing the script, or has already written it. And they're, I think, filming it right now, actually. They're actively filming it right now. I don't know how closely we're going to follow the comic book, but from what Tom was telling me, what was it like? Jane has cancer.
Yeah.
And every time she takes on, what is it, Mew Mew? Whatever.
The mantle of Thor.
The mantle. It rids her body of the chemo. So she's essentially dealing with her cancer grows every time she becomes Thor. So she's having to weigh whether she's taking care of her own health or taking care of the world every time.
Oof.
Yeah, like it's some real hardcore, like these are real issues. And there's no entirely right answer, which of course is the ones I like, because it gives you a lot to talk about, right? So I don't know how much they're going to stick to that, but I know Natalie Portman could definitely carry that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I trust Taika Waititi.
I do too.
Yeah.
So
I will give it a chance, but it's not.
I actually trust Taika Waititi and his Jewish mother. So this is what I definitely have faith in Taika and his Jewish mother that they will deal with it. Since I believe his mother's still alive, and she still has commentary on all his work. He runs by everything he does with her. So yeah. We've got ice cream trucks. Maggie says they have to make a hero synthetic jerk so we won't be as shocked by the loss of so much because it's kind of karma. Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of rooting for the loss, but okay.
Yes. You know what? I would love to see Thor a bit miserable.
just a wee bit. Just a wee bit.
I want to lick a little of those tears. I know. They're fictional characters, so I feel like I can let my inner psychopath out and just be like, no, I want to lick those tears.
Oh, goodness.
So, how are we doing? Is it about time to wrap up? It's been almost 3 hours. We've had a lovely time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I had to share my favorite fan made Loki video. So I'll put that in the comments for y'all for later.
Excellent. I can't wait. Here it is. I'm literally going to, I've got the chat open and just opening up a tab so that I can play that later. Okay. So shall we wrap up? Are there any final thoughts about Thor?
Loki's better. That's it. That's my
What did you say, Grace? Start from the beginning.
I said Loki's better. That's my only thought.
Yes. Well, we have noticed that Grayson / Team Loki. We were going to tell our Loki story, Tom. That was.
Oh, yeah.
How did you want to start that?
All right. So, we live in a fantasy world, my sister and I. And we live in the South. So just take it for what it is. This is the reality as we saw it. Growing up, there were a couple of beings that sort of, you might say haunted where we lived. 3 of them were very much just, we nicknamed, Mr. Brown, Mr. Black, and Mr. Cow. Mr. Black, because he liked to just stay in the shadows, very much like my future cat. Mr. Brown was just kind of brown. Like, we have no other words for it. Just, he was brown. This gave a presence of brown. Mr. Cow...
Like shades. They were shades, y'all.
Yeah. Shades.
When we were children.
Eventually we figured it had to have just been like one of the oldest ghosts ever from tens of thousands of years ago. No idea why it's still around. And then there was Loki. There was no question that Loki traveled around with us. And even as we got older, we learned more about the mythology of Loki. It's like, nope, that's still Loki. Including the part where that was not brought up in these movies of how much Loki loves children. Loki loves young things. It's very much all of a sudden becomes a quote-unquote good deity. Wherever children are concerned, Loki never wants to see harm come to them. In our lives, this has manifested as kittens show up a lot on our doorstep, puppies occasionally, little raccoon kits.
Fox kits.
Yeah. At the same time, Loki loves mischief and any little jokes. So, we've lived with Loki most of our lives. So we do have a personal feeling about how Loki is portrayed.
Yes.
I like it.
Anytime people were mean to us as kids, like really mean, like dangerous mean, Loki would make things fall and break in the room to scare people.
I was gonna say that must have freaked some people out. Like,
I got blamed a lot as a child. Stop breaking things, even though I was across the room. Because Loki doesn't like to see children like in pain or even being yelled at. So now. A couple years ago, a friend of mine who who does practice Norse religion, she asked to borrow Loki, and I warned her. Loki is a trickster god, so mischief happens. And also, like, they had tried for years to have kids. They had given up. They were both in their early to mid 30s, and I was like, "You have to be careful. Loki will start leaving kittens on your doorstep. Babies will keep showing up. I'm just saying, you should be prepared. And she's like, I'm willing. I'm ready for things to mix up in my life. I'm so tired of everything is the same old, and I want something to happen. I'm like, okay, you can have Loki. So we did what was necessary to transfer Loki. And within 2 weeks, a whole bunch of kittens showed up at her doorstep. And within 18 months, she was pregnant. After the doctors had all said that they were never going to be able to have kids, that the two of them, their chemistry must not mix well. She was pregnant with her first kid and was able to carry term. It was the first time she didn't have a miscarriage in 8 years. Like she'd had miscarriage. I think I lost count, but I think it was at least 14 miscarriages. And this was the first one that not even a question. It wasn't even, like sometimes some pregnancies you have to rest a lot. She worked the whole time. She was fine. She was sturdy. And,
Nice.
And yeah, and the kittens started getting up to all sorts of trouble and bringing other little baby animals with them. It was very odd. And
yeah, you can have.
Yeah, and I was she was telling me, I was catching up with her when the baby was born. How's it going? And I was like, do you want to return Loki? She's like, you know what? I'll keep Loki for a little while longer. And I'm like, look, I understand. We're used to chaos, but I understand not everybody is into chaos. She messaged me when she got home that there were 3 fallen trees around her house. Every one of them had missed her house by literally inches. There was a freak tornado that had just blown through while she was at my house with the baby.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And I'm like, do you want to return Loki now? She's like, no, I think Loki protected the house. I'm okay. I'm like, all right, you can have Loki as long as you want. Just know that Loki is an agent of chaos.
So Loki could have both brought the tornado and spared her house.
Yes, and pretty much what they did was they used all the fallen trees for firewood for the next winter.
Loki's like, hey, I think you're going to need some trees. I got a way to make that happen.
Right.
Could have been done a different way, but that's the way Loki works.
Yeah, that's pretty much, you've summed that up. Right. That is Loki. So that is and those are the shades. Mr. Cow is the kind of shade that hides under children's beds. When you go down to go get a toy or a sock that's fallen under the bed, and for a split second you thought you saw a face, that's Mr. Cow. Mr. Cow is the person who lives in the shadow to frighten children away from dangerous places. But
yeah, that's why we do have a soft spot for Loki, wherever Loki is portrayed, and whether we feel like that was appropriate to a trickster god or not. We in no way have illusions that Loki is a good character and just has the best wishes for people.
Right.
Loki just likes chaos, likes to change. Loki is happiest as long as things are changing.
Yes. He likes to mix it up. And we like that. Things never get boring, right? So, should we do outro?
Sure.
Anybody
but I need to go first because Grayson is so good. I don't want to do Grayson. Unless Grayson wants to do one for me. Yes. That's amazing. Anyway.
Grayson, you want to do some impromptu intros or outros for all of us today? I think I would love to hear it. No pressure, man.
No, we put you on the spot. Sorry.
Rachel's so tickled. They've got their abs working. They don't need to do ab day this week.
All right, so Grayson, practice for next time. Everyone wants outros.
Yes.
I can work on that.
Yes, I would love to hear. Yeah.
In the meantime, you guys can hear my terrible outro.
Don't tell them that in advance.
No, I'm warning them. I'm warning them, so when it's not completely terrible, I don't look so bad.
Low standards.
That's right. Hi, I am Mia, the Vixen of Fiction, here on YouTube and on Instagram, and you can also find me on Twitch. I like to live stream writing sprints. I am an aspiring author of science fiction, historical fiction, and fantasy. Check me out. Thanks. Thanks for having me, Lori and Tom.
And that was the Vixen of Fiction.
Ooh, see?
Grayson's
It's
so
the
dumb.
voice.
When it doesn't crack, it's actually nice.
Very.
Grayson, you ready next?
I'm ready.
Okay.
What it do, everybody? My name is Grayson Wild, and I write with pride. I like diving into fantasies and into warm mugs of coffee. I want to thank y'all for letting me be here and gush about Loki, because Loki.
Because we're a Loki account now.
Pretty much. Right now, I'm working on some fantasy, and like I said, I do have a new post on Buy Me a Coffee where I actually posted a brain dump, and Kira L. Rose, aka the Naked Firefly, has been yelling at me to make that a short story, so I might be doing that.
And the link for that is below in the description. The buy me a coffee link is below.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. Let's see. There's Tom. Dun dun dun. There's Tom's link.
I'm trying my best not to just go into. I still have one last rant about Odin, but anyway.
Do an outro.
But I'm Tom. I do character development and poetry. I also just help people with story development. And I'm here to do have fun learning about movies and storytelling.
Yay!
Woo!
Awesome.
All right. Since Stephanie's not here, I just want to go ahead and say, everybody go ahead, check out Stephanie Whitson. Her links are below. There will be more links once I actually update the description and save it. Sorry, I got distracted again. But her YouTube link is down below at the bottom of the description. She is fantastic. She has written, there's a new book that I believe is just come out or coming out. I'm terrible with dates. But if you want to find out, I recommend you follow her on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah. I'm sorry, I did not have one prepared. Okay. And then, hi. You've made it this far, and I think that's amazing. Either that or you're just having a day. I don't know. Thank you so much for coming. I write stories. I love to edit as well. And every Monday at 4 p.m., I do this. Every Monday on this channel. You should totally come check us out. And if you're really feeling froggy, you should definitely come on screen with us and broadcast. And yeah, I got nothing, y'all. Woo, it's been a day. So thank you so much for coming. Next week is literally what you think. I mean, I've seen it so many times that I remember. Oh, next week we're going to talk about WandaVision, Captain Marvel, and Black Widow, because eventually one day they will release the movie.
Ooh.
One day.
So I'm just saying, if anybody would like to join us, we've still got space. If anybody would like to come on and talk about it, obviously we're going to talk about writing female characters without barrel rolling breasts.
Like, I'm not over that. What in the world?
Anybody's capable of writing real female characters, because this is my opinion. If Mark Twain can do it, you can do it too. The worst part is when women write terrible female characters, and I'm like, why have you forsaken me?
Why?
Anybody is capable of writing excellent, wonderful female characters with agency. And what is the other one? I can't remember. This is how I'm tired too. But with, agency and I want to say automation, that is not the word. Autonomy. There, I got it. Hi, Dyslexia. How are you? I'm doing great today. I've been here with you this whole time.
They can't have both.
Yes, they have to have both, or you can go home.
What?
Yes, I know.
Is
controversial.
That realistic?
So controversial, yet so brave. So
your male characters need it too, by the way, as they're going to be a lead character.
Oh, hashtag Thor needs help. Anyway. Thor's sad. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. And we would absolutely love for you to join us next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a riot one way or another. I promise you that. Thank you so much for coming. And we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.